Welcome to Flat Earth Debate Uncut and After Show. I'm your host Nathan Oakley, and if you are new to this channel, or you've not done so already, then be sure to subscribe, hit the bell notification icon and join button if you'd like to become a Nathan Oakley 1980 channel member and keep up to date with the Flat Earth Debate. If you would like to support the channel, there is a super chat that runs alongside each of these shows while they premiere, and there's also a PayPal, Patreon, crypto and thanks button in the info box below the video. Speaking of Patreons, I'm going to do a quick shout out to all of you who do support me on Patreon. So, a massive shout out of thanks and appreciation to Jason Hornsby, Christoph Fournier, John Travolta, JMels24, Yu Unamento, M, Iron26, Endless, Flat Earth Sage, Goldie McKiernan, Retro Bill, More Books, Cannabear, Fiber Oats, Bogey, Michael Kahn, Rob H, John Kays, Patrick Gunnels, Banter, Will Brax, Mel B Styles, Troy Shuker, Hairy Blade, Mobile Max 777, Neo the One, Rob W, Open Minded, Reese Pound, Del West Watson, Maria Nealons, Unbelievable Productions, The Real Gabster, Blue Ridge Ranger, Abraham Mohammed, Adrian Quintana, Skeptic936, Life is Short, Texas Mike, David Wayne Foster, and Dank. So another massive thank you to all of you for supporting me on Patreon. Now I will hand over to whoever is in Discord and Google so you can enjoy their dulcet tones while I set up for today's live show.
You know, the education system, the Carnegie Halls and the Rockefellers, all this crap that goes on in America. I was just saying that you don't really realize it, that these people, I don't know whose name you want to use, but they were a priest, most of them. Members of the church. That's why I laugh when they, oh, we separated science from the church. Well, yeah, that's cool. But come to find, that's what's so funny right now, right? We live with the biggest religious kooks in the world giving us science. Oh my God.
Is that the bait and switch?
Well, yeah, that's probably pretty close. Yeah. And they really pile it on too. You're just about a kook anytime you just argue about science, right? You don't trust the science? No.
Oh,
Nathan, sure. Morning, Nathan.
good morning, Nathan.
Well,
Yes,
he's
but
getting a cup of coffee.
yeah, he's still getting ready. He hasn't put out the link in Skype yet, so he's still getting his stuff ready.
Hello.
Yeah. Hello,
How you
Nathan.
doing? Was that Nathan who was talking? I was
Yeah,
gonna ask Humble.
What? You gonna ask him what?
Oh, I was just gonna say good morning, Humble H.
Well, the more interesting conversation already happened, Nathan. So I'm a little tapped out now. uh, we covered some good stuff already.
Long may it continue.
What's that? Well, we can continue. I mean, I think we're done. I mean, what else is there to say? It's almost like we're switching topics now.
There's no pressure whatsoever in the pre-show. You don't have to talk about anything. Obviously,
Right.
I'd prefer if we didn't sit here in silence.
That's why I love the pre-show. I like the pre-show. It's more relaxed. There's not that many voices fighting to talk, and I always love the pre-show. Even in the past, when I was more active on the show, I was usually more active in the pre-show, right? I think the pre-show is where it's at, Nathan. At least for me. I mean, everybody else, we all have our different views, right?
Whatever floats your boat. I mean, my focus is always going to be primarily on the live show. You know, the only reason to have a pre-show is to get people warmed up. So you're like, well, it's more relaxed.
Right.
Or people aren't warmed up enough for a live show.
Okay. Yeah. I hear what you're saying.
I mean, it's fine. don't get me wrong, people start their live shows like this, and that's fine. But I spin through 20 minutes of this sort of drivel, and then get to the meat, and then listen to what the actual show's about 20 minutes in. And if you look at retention figures, that's terrible, because people will lose interest far earlier than you might get to the meat of your show. Now, obviously, to get people warmed up, there's got to be a process before that, and there's a good chance, like you said, oh, well, you weren't here, you missed whatever we were talking about that was much more interesting. Yeah, that's true. So therefore, I record the pre-show so that when there is an interesting conversation, it has been captured. Or a debate. There's been many debates in the pre-show before the live show even starts, which is great. Also, again, you want to capture those. But for the most part, it's the main reason is to get people warmed up and keen and enthusiastic, so that when we go through housekeeping questions, they're done in a concise way. Hopefully, they develop into a discussion and all that sort of stuff. But just starting like this, if I'd have pressed the live button now, I'd be on edge, because I'd be like, no, this isn't riveting enough for live content. You know what I mean?
Yeah, no, exactly what you're saying. I mean, I'm glad you shared that. I mean, I understand what you're saying now, or what you were saying. Yeah, very good point.
Good morning.
So,
Morning.
Well, I was thinking about
Hey, Steve.
you
Hey,
this
Humble.
morning, Nathan. What a hard job you have.
I don't know about that. It's not hard.
A lot of people.
It's time consuming.
lot of
But sorry, I
people,
won't talk over you. Sorry, go ahead.
Well, a lot of people don't understand how much work you do. Number one, which hard work, a lot of work, but you put a lot of effort. You got the best flat Earth show as far as knowledge goes, facts, and people they don't appreciate that. They really don't.
actually, they do. Some of the
Yeah,
new
they
guys
do.
I've been voice verifying. Some of the people I've been voice verifying recently, I've been pointing out just that.
Well, yeah, the new guys do. That's what I'm saying. That's why the new show is so cool right now. I'm kind of talking about the old timers, right?
People do appreciate it, because
Even
if they
even
didn't, I wouldn't be here.
everybody does appreciate it.
What I mean is,
don't give me. I'm sorry.
it's okay. From a financial perspective, there's no way this size of channel could sustain me. There's no way, or anybody for that matter. It just doesn't generate enough revenue. But because people give me donations after the fact, so they come, they listen to the information, go, I really like that, and want to support you, and then they give me, I don't know, a PayPal contribution or something along those lines, super chat, whatever. It's because of them that I can actually be here. In other words, it's because of the overwhelming support. I don't know to make it sound like it's an overwhelming support. It's just that a lot of people will give me a few bucks here and there. Now, that is fantastic, because it all adds up and means I can sustain a living, right, by doing this, which I otherwise could not. So it's purely down to the people, literally, it's to contradict you, but because they see it as important that I carry on, and therefore realise that there's going to be a financial implication to that, and they support me financially, even if it's, like I say, $5 or $10. The people want to say, here you go, that will sustain you, and I want to make sure I'm part of that, because I want you to keep doing the show. So I know what you're driving at. You're going, well, people need to recognise it more. Definitely.
Yeah.
That I'll agree with.
Exactly, man. That's what I was saying is I want to see. I'm like you. I want to see your channel grow, and like right now, to see more subscribers, all of it.
Me too. But it's every single pre-show I shout out the Patreons, right? Now, technically speaking, but Patreon's like a monthly thing. It's every first of the month or something. They'll take out their pledge or whatever I don't know what they term it in Patreon. I should pay more attention, really. I just know I get money from people who are very generous, and I want to thank them daily for that, and make it the point to be the starting point of the show. The very first thing I do is thank my Patreons after the intro that I do day in, day out. The first thing I do is go through the current Patreons, and it's because that's what I want the starting point. There's the only reason I can ask people and put my hand out to give me super chats is because the Patreons are there. So I want to start every show acknowledging that, because that's what sustains me, like in the most literal of ways. And I am incredibly grateful for it. So when I moan, for instance, about, I'm poor of this or whatever, and I'm e-begging basically, or pleading poverty, well, I can only be live pleading poverty because of the Patreons, if that makes sense. Right? Does that make sense?
Yeah, exactly.
I've put the link in the wrong channel. I've put it in Quantum Erasers channel rather than in. Oh, I'm supposed to have put it in Master B. That's why nobody's talking to us from G Plus, because no one's paying attention to Quantum Erasers chat in Skype.
I thought you were giving us a head start to get some of our stuff in.
Look, instantly, the moment I put it into Master B, there it goes.
A
Hey,
quick
Neil.
question.
Hello.
Go ahead, Humble.
Oh, okay. With just a few people here, I'm curious about something, just getting to know folks, because I stay for the after show sometimes, speak to people, but I'm just curious if anybody'd like to touch this question. Before you heard of Flat Earth, did cosmology play a part in your life to any significant degree?
Yeah, I was very interested in it and kept up to date with it almost daily. I was a subscriber to Science at NASA. I was on their email list. It was a full shebango, man. I was well into it. I had a telescope. I had all the books. Yeah, very much so.
Oh, so it wasn't just steering out the airplane that was a curiosity for you.
Yeah, that's part of my origin story. So when I was a rep,
Yes.
traveling all over the world, one of the things that I did was go to the back of the plane because you had a better angle out of the plane from the fire escape or whatever they call it on a plane. And you could, at the back where the galley is, where they're preparing the food. So behind you, you've got them clattering away making food. And in front of you, you've got the exact same size window as every other window. But you can go to the left and to the right. So you can actually see out of it with a reasonable degree. And I would be up there looking out that window going, God, I wish I could go higher. I really wish I could see Earth curve because I can't see it from this height. Now, because I was very familiar with the heliocentric rhetoric, I understood all of their double speak about, you can't see Earth, the curve of the Earth from 2 millimeters above this beach ball. Yeah, I understood all that. So I knew from their rhetoric that I wasn't going to be expecting to see Earth curve when I went up in a commercial jet. But I wanted to. But what I was actually saying to myself was, you're not seeing any Earth curve. But I'd, because of the indoctrination, flipped it in my mind to go, I wish I could go higher to see it. That would be across my field of view Earth curve, as opposed to when they tell you how you'll measure it, it's all about stuff being obstructed by physical geometry. But their commoner garden preached rhetoric out on the circuit from Tyson is that you're not expecting to see the curve of the Earth even if you're up at the ISS. It's just fisheye lenses, don't be fooled. That's not seeing Earth curve. Even though they simultaneously double speak and say that you can see it at 1.2 times the square root of the observer's height in feet. But like I say, that double speak contradiction I hadn't recognised. What I had recognised is that I wasn't looking at Earth curve when I looked out at the flat plane I was definitely looking over.
And Righteous, would you say that it played a part in your life before?
Hold on, I'm switching. Give me a sec.
He's doing technical stuff. Ask someone else.
Or
Victor?
anybody else who would
Hear me?
like to comment? It's fine.
What's your
Oh,
question?
wait, I can't hear you now.
If cosmology
Yes.
played a, what was the question?
Yeah, did cosmology play a part in your life before Flat Earth? Anybody?
Well, besides like in the whole heliocentric idea and
Yeah, I
all
was.
that.
I
never thought about it.
I think he means a proactive interest.
Yeah, I was into sci-fi. Like I used to. I
That's,
used to like Star Wars.
no, that's not a proactive interest in cosmology.
No.
no.
That's
Well-
why I asked my question is it general or like keeping up with the actual claimed facts from that religion?
Yeah. Well, no, because my curiosity comes from, I guess the follow-up question I would ask is, why is it a big deal now?
Why is Flat Earth a big deal now, or why is Globe Earth Lies a
Yes.
big deal now? Which bit more specific?
Well, the whole subject matter, because if a lot of people, when you speak to them, they'll say, "Oh, it's not going to affect my life. The Earth is flat around." It's just not important to
I
them.
see. I think it was in the year of our Lord 2014, the Archangel Math Powerland came down from heaven and told us with these slabs of
Well,
Sorry.
Listen, let me say something. When my brother told me, I immediately fought against it and berated him every chance I got and tried to prove him wrong and could not do it.
I'm pretty sure it was the Archangel Math Powerland, actually, but you've got your story, I've got mine.
well,
Sorry, I got to
the
mute. You're
thing
making me
is,
laugh.
if it doesn't matter, right, what the shape is to you, right, then why are you arguing? Why even make that point?
Let's
If it
just make
doesn't
a
matter,
correction straight away.
why did you
Oh,
say
God, I
that?
hate having to correct John, because you're ace. Yeah. When you say if the shape is relevant to you, Earth doesn't have a shape that I can fathom in any way, shape, or form. No pun intended.
Oh no,
It's an aspect.
I'm just saying from that person's point of view, they're saying that this, whether it's curved or flat, doesn't matter. Well, then why would they make that statement? Just accept it. I don't.
What you're saying is it's redundant to ask on account of the fact that if it is unimportant to you, it would therefore lead to the consequence that you wouldn't be asking because it would be inconsequential to you. Therefore, there'd be no reason to ask. It's self-defeating.
Right. Yeah, it's a self-contradictory question in of itself.
Well, it mattered to
Hello,
me. It mattered. 1 second, Bryce. It mattered to me when I came to the understanding that the biblical account is totally contrary to what I was taught in school. Then it mattered to me, and then I started really digging in.
Well, see, that's the thing. That doesn't matter as much, but when somebody says, "What's the difference?" Well, okay, fine. Then you just accept it as flat because you don't really care either way, right?
Yeah, but I can't because the word of God is being transformed into a heliocentric nonsense story. So who are we going to believe?
So
the creator?
I got my new Be Quiet Silent Wings 4 Pro fan under the CPU now. And because of the smaller top fans being only 120mm, it opens up the area to let the heat naturally convect through the gaps in these very small airflow fans. And with all of these three new fans, the PC now runs with only one fan on during the show. Very, very low, because it's a very efficient fan. So just by changing 3 of the fans that came stock, I've now got the thing to be completely silent at all times, at all loads, and most of the time not even run with fans at all. Isn't that spectacular?
Are you saying that because I brought up the biblical concept?
No. Just thought we'd like to talk about computers for a bit.
Can I?
Hello, everyone.
So Nathan.
So, one second, Humble. 1 second.
I think Humble was going to talk about fans. Go ahead.
Well, I'm a fan of the show, but this is why, because words are so important when you use them. When you say make a differentiation between shape and aspect, could you clarify what, probably in a little bit more detail what you mean by that? Because I think
flat is an aspect. In geometry, it's a plane is an aspect. It's not a shape. Yeah, if you talk about a plane, or you draw out on a piece of paper a square and go, that is the surface we're going to be talking about, right? That is a aspect or an aspect. It's not a shape. Although I did just say draw out a square. Ignore the bit where I say draw out a square, because that is a shape. Completely contradicting myself. The aspect that you drive, so if you say, well, we're talking about moving along the x-axis, for instance, there's no shape in that. You're describing part of an axis in an aspect of geometry, as opposed to a shape.
So if it were though a sphere, would that then be a shape or an aspect?
No, sphere's definitely a shape.
Oh, okay.
They've taken an aspect of our world and ascribed it a shape. But does that mean that, by contrast, when they say, well, what shape is the world? That's a loaded question. Oh, what do you mean shape? We're not talking about a shape. What shape is flat?
Wow. You know, the devil is in the details when it comes to you, Nathan.
That's all we do here. That's all we do. This is all this show
Yeah.
is about, right? Semantics. Words and their meanings.
Yeah.
Yes, the devil is definitely in the detail because that's how we get hoodwinked. That's the magic. The words are how we're conned. Us having a worldview of a sky vacuum and things flying around in it like Superman has only come from the words and images of men. So our entire world being this vast space of infinitely expanding vacuum, that was, at one point, actually my world. Isn't that amazing? How? Just because people use words and stuff, put up pictures and stuff. That's it. That's all that it took to change my world. Magic is amazing. That's what we're talking about. Words and their meanings. Magic. Spelling. Grammar.
I think everyone's missing
Okay.
John's point.
Sorry, guys. Yeah, just saying, going back a little bit to what you're saying. I've thought about this. I actually wrote a poem about it, but what it was the what's the purpose? Hubble was saying, and why do people think it's a big deal and not a big deal?
Okay.
And it's like,
before you go on, I've got to tell you off, and I've got to give you props, because the last poem I specifically asked if it was filthy, and you specifically answered no. Now, as much as I had to listen to it quite carefully, but you know damn well that was filthy. It was very well done and incredibly subtle, but it was filthy at its heart, and you damn well know it. So you lied to me. You know that was filthy. Don't pretend you didn't.
That's funny. Oh my god.
Well, I did choose the words very carefully.
You're damn right you did. It was great. Shit sandwich. Props for doing it so subtly that I thought, I'm going to have to listen to that. I'm sure there's something not quite right in there. So I listened to it again, listening between the lines, let's just say. And yes, I went, that's a careful phrasing. That's right next to the edge. Hold on, why are these things so close to this edge? Well, because he's thought about it. Or therefore he's lied, hasn't he? When I said, is it filthy? You could have gone, well, no. I mean, you might interpret it that way. Some Weasley words, but you just said no.
Technically, it wasn't.
It was
filthy.
it was a white lie.
Very thin line, but that's a hard line. To toe that line is hard, so kudos in that regard.
Oh well, I think what I'll do in future then, Nathan, that was just a little bit different and sort of bringing a little bit of humour in there. Maybe not for the live show, probably. I'll bring them up in the pre-show in future, and then you can give it a yay or a nay.
No. It's always going to get a yay. That's art. I love it. My criticism is done with the biggest of smiles.
So thank you. But I'll read you this one now. But what I was getting at was very quickly, these globers or the anti-flat earthers, they put up such a fight for something that is a big mistake. I mean, after all, we're just a grain of sand with no intention, no creator. But yet they spend hours and days and years like fighting for this thing that is just a mistake from a big bang. And I was thinking about this, and I just put a few words down, so I'll just read it quickly if you want. Shall I go?
Oh, sorry, I just assumed you would just start. Go ahead.
Oh, sorry, yeah. Okay. Big bang, globe creation, flying around in empty space with no purpose, no direction. Nothing to fight for here, just a useless big bang creation. No purpose, no direction. No creator, no design. Chaotically flying around in fourth dimension space-time. Nothing to fight for here or try to prove. No need to debate, nothing to lose. We're just a big bang globe creation. No design, no creator. No need to debate, nothing to lose. Globe protectors, nothing to prove. Why is it then they fight to the death? Holding the globe on a pedestal high, if they're just a big bang no purpose ball flying high above the sky. So why come on YouTube defending this mistake? What difference does it make? With lies ad homs and fallacies too. Is your globe a mistake or special to you? Here's some of the defenders. I'll just name a few. Mr. Sensible. Well, that name's not right. He's not capable of winning any globe fight. Professor Dave defends the globe, but he pays for the scripts he reads, we've all been told. Simon Dan and his ruined reference frames. He doesn't know what they are. Oh, what a shame. Then there's that weirdo, Plan a Walk. You should listen to him. He's all fake talk. These are the ones who say life is a mistake, but spend hours, days, and years in globe defending debates. But there's a team out there called FED, dealing with flat earth reality. Nathan Oakley is pulling them apart. So tune in to Nathan Oakley's show and listen how far these globe defenders go. They're getting destroyed one at a time. The Big Bang globe creation is the devil's lie.
Welcome to Flat Earth Debate Live. I'm your host Nathan Oakley, and if you are new to this channel, or you've not done so already, then be sure to subscribe, hit the bell notification icon and join button if you'd like to become a Nathan Oakley 1980 channel member and keep up to date with the Flat Earth Debate. If you would like to support the channel, there is a super chat that runs alongside each of these shows while they are live, and there's also a PayPal, Patreon, crypto and thanks button in the info box below the video. Most importantly, if you'd like to join the discussion, simply mute the page you are currently watching, then click the link in the info box below this video to join the panel and express your views on the nature of Earth. If you do join, please don't swear. If you do, you'll be ejected, and if you are, please don't try to rejoin the stream using sock accounts. You'll be warmly welcome back on the next stream. Please also share the show on social media. Sharing the show obviously increases the live audience, but this in turn increases the chances of a more diverse panel, so please share the show on Facebook and Twitter. Now we are joined by 10th Man Rising, Refracted Curvature, Neil, Righteous Force, Brian's Logic, and a whole bunch of people in Discord. So welcome, one and all.
Hello.
Good morning.
Good afternoon.
Shout out to One Deck. Outstanding.
Yeah, we had a nice poem in the pre-show, so if you remember, check it out, along with the video that I've released in the last hour or so, that was called DeGrasse Tyson, The Witch, and the Earth Curve, starring Tom Cruise. So check that out if you remember. I'll release it to the public over the weekend, but that's now all done. I've done thumbnail and everything for it. Typically, I wouldn't do that for the members. I'd wait till it was released to the public. But you're special this time. You've all got the thumbnail and everything. It's ready to go. So check that out. And also, if you remember, once this is finished recording, check out the Poetry of One Deck, which is the preceding bit before the intro for the live show. So there we go. Any evidence of a physical geometric sphere edge horizon, formerly known as the curve of the Earth?
Tom Cruise might be able to. Probably not.
Not since 2020.
Why would Tom Cruise be able to help with that?
No.
No, I just thought because he won't. He won't. Forget about it.
He just knows how to do the thought experiment, the consideration.
That's because
That's
that's
all.
where I was going. Exactly, Arwin. That was where I was going. Does he have a good appreciation of the physical claim to be geometry of an Earth sphere edge horizon at 1.2 times the square root of the observer's height in feet to break it down for a public? Or are you just saying he goes up high? Because that doesn't infer that he can see the curve of the Earth, according to the rhetoric of the priests like Tyson, where they slap beach balls and tell you you're not expecting to see Earth curve from any height, even though it's claimed to be at 1.2 times the square root of the observer's height in feet, in their maths. But there we go. The double speak of the heliocentric model isn't really what I was inquiring about. It's more that I wanted Brian to say he's going to see the horizon from a height.
Yeah, well, I was going to say that he might, if he goes up high, he might be able to see the horizon of a globe. But then I remember that the horizon's not physical or geometric. So
that's something I was hoping to. I was hoping to clarify this actually, because when I was doing the edit today of that video that's just been released, the Tyson, the Witch, and the Earth Curve starring Tom Cruise on the Nathan Oakley 1980 channel. Subscribe today. When I was editing it, I listened back and I was like, if Tom Cruise claims that he's been in a second law of thermodynamics sky vacuum, then he'll have me on his case because he's suddenly in our pond. He's in our territory if he's lying about being in a place that isn't real. You know, claim you're actually in Narnia, Mr. Actor, and suddenly you're going to have a problem because Narnia is not real and neither is a sky vacuum. So the question then arises, has he actually claimed this? Because I'd rather make it official rather than if he's going to claim this. If he's actually out on the circuit saying this as a popular star, then great, we'll get his face slapped all over our thumbnails while we detail his deception in regards to being in a second law of thermodynamics violation. Space. Outer space, which isn't real. But he's claimed to be filming there? What's he actually said about it? Does anybody know?
Are you claiming Maverick hasn't been to space?
Maverick hasn't been to space because space isn't real. It's like saying, name a fictional place that Tom Cruise has been in. Is there most of them are seated in fiction, in non-fiction though, in terms of the locations for Tom Cruise's movies. Can you think of any one of Tom Cruise's movies that takes place in a fictional place?
Oblivion.
That's not directly connected to the heliocentric deception.
There it is. Earth was destroyed and he's in space.
That's not connected. I wanted to... Oh, forget it. Let's move on. Any evidence of axial rotation of the Earth-based variety?
Maybe Tom Cruise.
Star
would have.
Trails.
No, no Coriolis.
No, here we go. Tom Cruise.
No,
What?
he has been
Star
promoting
Trails.
If Brian does it more than a couple more times, I can stick it in the title. What was that about Tom Cruise? We're going to talk about Tom Cruise in this show. Tom Cruise show. Great.
it. He does promote it though. He has been promoting it.
But
I was just saying, if Tom
we get
goes
that.
up high, he might
Let's just
see
clarify
it,
with
but
Neil
then he
because
will
she's going to step all over you while you do this. Right, Neil. The situation is as follows. Try to pay attention. We know he's claiming to be in a sky vacuum and claimed to be filming there. What we want to know is what's he actually said, verbatim, a claim from his mouth when he's out on the circuit, not as the character.
I'll get it.
Thank you. That was
I think-
worth you shouting through me. Go ahead, Brian.
I think Tom Cruise is promoting the wrong Fed here.
Well, if he goes up really high, he surely will see the Earth rotate underneath him. So maybe I don't know.
Tom Cruise is a pilot. I don't know if you've seen Top Gun, so he would know.
Oh well, he probably is a pilot, but I don't think he actually did that. That beyond.
I've got to clear that up now. I'm sorry,
10 times the speed of sound thing.
I'm sorry.
Well, I
I've
heard
got
he
to clear
got
that up from
trained
John.
for
He's
it,
causing me
didn't he?
trouble now. Right. I'm not in
He
any
does
way
a lot of his own
inferring.
stunts, and I'm pretty sure he can actually fly a plane.
Thank you.
Not like a high-tech one, but he can fly. I'm pretty sure.
Thank you. So, John, I'm not inferring that because he's an actor that plays characters that have been in places like space, fictional places, that somehow that we will then therefore appeal to him for his knowledge of, I don't know, if he's been in a movie talking about drilling, like we wouldn't appeal to him as a drill expert by the same token. I just want to make that clear, as that was what you were essentially implying with that last remark. But I've got to now dispense with that, humorous though it is. So no, we got no axial rotation from Tom Cruise.
Well, I know that Tom Cruise hit a person I know with a golf ball by accident. So I don't know if he.
Well,
if
if you
he
have
meant-
Tom Cruise jumping up and down on a trampoline, debunking the reference frames.
I'm wondering now if Tom Cruise would make a good Jedi.
Because feed line, punchline. That's how jokes work. No, Arwen's never read any books on comedy.
I mean, he would be a pretty badass Jedi, but he's probably never going to go for it. But especially now that it's all getting worse in Star Wars.
He's all action, right? But I don't know if that proves the globe.
Yeah.
We're not going to get this like blood out of a stone in terms of finding out what actually is the score with Tom and his claim. So let's move on. Any evidence of the distance to the sun?
It's over there.
No, but you're going to need a flat plane and a radius value.
I mean, what does it
Literally
matter
over
anyway?
there.
Cover that from Jorge. Hold on. So yeah, Jorge saying if you're going to assert a 93 million mile away sun, then you're going to need a flat plane to get elevation angle measurements, and you're going to need an R value assertion after you've got the flat plane elevation angle measurements and derived it from a geometric sphere edge horizon at 1.2 times the square root of the surface height in feet. Wow, that was a big sentence.
Well, it's a big claim, so a big sentence.
Yeah, we haven't got an R value. Any evidence of the R value, Earth radius, to give us distance to the sun after measuring flat planes with elevation angle measurements?
Nope. Not since 2020, 1st of Jan.
Any evidence that you can acquire an elevation angle measurement from a curved baseline?
Now would be a violation of the model, the celestial sphere.
What, where the globe was derived from by way of the Haversine conversion?
Yeah, but you need a flat plane for that, though.
A lot of things that need a flat plane, eh? Isn't that amazing? That's why we're still here, by the way, ladies and gentlemen. That's why we can't be censored out of all existence. Because much, if not all, of the globe Earth assertion actually requires a flat plane in the first instance. That's what we cover here. You know, this is cutting edge of the flat Earth. The fact that the globe requires it is really what you should lead with if you're trying to convince somebody that they're on a flat plane. What's that? We live on a globe, by contrast. No, your globe came from a flat plane. What's that? We measure the globe, we navigate the globe. No, we don't. We measure on flat maps. What's that? They're globe projections. Yeah, that came from the celestial sphere model after measuring angles. That's two straight lines, not one curved, to the objects in the sky off a flat plane. So it's all derived from a flat plane and navigated as a flat plane and built on as a flat plane. That's really what you should lead with if you're trying to convince somebody that they're on a flat plane. Just show them how they're on a flat plane.
A quick question before you move from this one.
Go ahead.
You use the word, and I don't know how this formula, a Haversine. How do you spell that? What is? I wanted to look it up.
I actually don't know. How do you spell Haversine?
Oh,
Haversine.
Haver.
HAV have
Yes.
ERSINE.
Yes.
Sign.
SIGN.
No. SINE as in sine wave, not sign as in sign.
I have a question regarding geometry.
Okay, feel free.
How can you have a globe without the curvature?
You can't. I mean, if you're going to assert that Earth's a sphere, then you're going to require curvature. What you wouldn't need to do, maybe John should make this point, is his point, but you wouldn't need to convert anything to a sphere if it was a sphere. But John, can you reiterate? That's your point. It's a great point. He's not around. I've already made it.
Why move Santiago?
Right. If you say your orders are always followed, and you said Santiago wasn't to be touched, then why would it be necessary to transfer Santiago off the base? Yeah. You wouldn't need to convert it to a sphere.
That's it.
Exactly. Where's the curve? Where's the Earth curve? If you've got Earth as a sphere, then we need measurable Earth curve. Not claimed to be measurable at 1.2 times the square root of the surface height in feet, but then massively beyond its geometric hill limitations in the Black Swan. We've only got to show once that the horizon is not Earth curve because it's not blocking things like a hill would at their claim to be geometry. Once you've debunked it, that's it. There's no way to derive R, there's no way to make the measurements and distances to the Earth's stars work. Everything falls on itself, implodes and dies. That's the end of heliocentrism. It died with R. Any evidence that level runs equidistant to the centre of Earth?
No, nonsense. Level
That
means
makes
no
me
part's higher
cringe
than the other.
because it's not right yet. That housekeeping question. It makes me cringe when you ask.
It's supposed to. I love it. Neil's like, that's not right. I don't like the way that housekeeping question comes out. It makes me feel all
Not in
dirty.
that way.
Yeah, it does.
Not in that way.
Go on then, Neil. What's wrong with it?
You have to say sphere, in my opinion.
No, you don't.
Level is only one, and therefore it's got no secondary reference, so the question's malformed. Point
Yeah,
one.
that's the right answer. That's the only right answer, is to point out that the question's malformed. Why is that, Adam? Why is it malformed?
In this case, it's not describing the quandary correctly. The
So,
housekeeping question has to
I
have-
thought I left the pause intentionally. So, would that, you're now a Globe defender, Adam, just so you know, would that invite you to make a positive assertion in any way by the chance, or not?
I think it would allow me to waffle and not be pinned down with anything.
They do the
regards to
claim with
level,
elevation, not with level, though.
in regards to, yeah,
In-
you've picked up on it again, Jorge. Yeah, you're way ahead of me. Exactly.
Like I said, there's the singular term level. Well, you need levels. I prefer horizontal. It's a more correct term for the geometric setup. And I prefer sphere because there's no need to invoke a ball earth. Let them do that. Let's keep our argument neat and to the geometry. Is the way I would focus it, so that it's a geometric argument in relation to horizontals and their possibility that if you have different horizontals, they are by definition horizontal to each other. How can they be equidistant to the center of the earth? That's the trap. If you set one up to be horizontal to the other, it cannot be equidistant to the center. The two can't be equidistant. The question has to have both sides of the answer, like a good housekeeping question does. And that's why it needs just a bit of work for me. The concept's fantastic, spot on. But yeah, I'm not happy with it at the moment. I think we can strengthen it between us all.
Oh, absolutely.
Oh,
Like all good
I-
housekeeping questions. The reason I introduced it rough edge though it was is because I immediately spotted how good it was, and everybody else around me did. It's not like I was alone in this. Everybody immediately recognised it. I think John, when he described how dirty he felt with his example, it wasn't that sold me. It was the quality of the question. But like with elevation angle measurement from a curved adjacent, that was how that question originally got phrased. And it wasn't right. It is right. It's absolutely right. And you could still say it that way. But it doesn't quite have the edge of the housekeeping question it should. It's not quite refined enough. It's a little bit rusty. So, yeah, you're right. It does need refinement. But we'll get there. Don't worry. I just want it to be in there. Because if it wasn't, it wouldn't trigger you guys to say, let's refine this. It'd just get forgotten about.
Well, what I would say there, just to actually go against Adam a little bit, is that their claim is that level and horizontal are not the same thing.
Exactly.
That's the way. That's the claim. So they're claiming that level is equidistant from the center of a sphere, which is any sphere. It doesn't have to be what they claim out to be. So it could be a basketball or anything. So they try and separate the two, and that's the argument. But Adam has a point. See, this is another housekeeping question we should work on, because they do try and claim local horizontals, which is a complete breaking of horizontal if you have what they're trying to call a local horizontal on a sphere. Because you can't have a horizontal on a sphere, number one, and you can't have a local horizontal, number two. Because
Brian, I could think you're using singular there, you see. So if you're going to use a singular, then you need to say, and I'll use the term level, are any 2 points on a level equidistant from the center of the earth?
Ooh, that's nice. That's
Yeah,
got a smoother
maybe
edge to
3.
it, though.
You might
Hold
need
on, I just want to
3.
get John's opinion, because that smooths out the edges and makes it less. It makes it more palatable. There you go. I don't know if I want to take that rough feeling away from it. I like it when I say it. I like the reaction it gets. Everything about it's good. But John, you know, he was the one who first described that particular feeling, that sensation you get when you ask about, level running equidistant to the centre of Earth. There's something about it. It's still, I don't know. John, are you there? Or he disappeared? He disappeared earlier when I tried to get his attention. Maybe he's still not around. Nope. Well, there we go there then. I'm sure it will receive some refinement.
2's no good. Because 2 can be equidistant from the centre point of the horizontal and therefore be equidistant from the centre point. So you'd have to have 3. See, it's really messy to pin it down.
All points along a level.
If only spheres had horizontals.
That's nice, said Brian. All points along a level.
I didn't hear
That's
Jorge,
nice.
Jorge rumpus you really rudely. Can you repeat that?
Yeah, okay. Is there any evidence that all points along a level are equidistant with the centre of a sphere?
That's not bad either.
You could even say, yeah.
Go on. We want to hear it.
No, I'm not going to. I was going to say you could say Earth, but you're begging the question for them then, which was the whole point, is they're claiming that level is different from horizontal. That's their whole claim, rather than just Earth. They're claiming a basketball, tennis ball, everything, any sphere. That level is equidistant from its center. So, is there any evidence that all points along a level are equidistant from the center of a sphere? Maybe.
Yeah, all of these will be considered and refined. I'm sure QE will put its 2 pennyworth in at some stage when he's heard this back, which is obviously encouraged also. Should we move on, or do we have any more to say on this particular housekeeping question?
I'd say we'll all be talking about it later anyway. So.
Any evidence of a self-perpetuating molten iron core at the centre of a presupposed spherical Earth?
You'd have to presuppose that the Earth is a sphere in the first place, yeah?
If there was, you couldn't measure equidistance level from the center.
Oh, we're having a flashback.
Is Jorge, are you saying that how would you even prove that? Is that what you're saying? Kind of like, is there any evidence of?
Jorge's thinking that was
No
just
evidence for a molten. No evidence for a molten iron core. No.
Yeah, that's what I thought you would say. It was a throwaway comment, Brian. Not to worry. Any evidence that you can have gas pressure without a container for all the fundies who think the sky is a vacuum?
Can I just before we go off, go back to the molten iron core question? Very quickly, just for the audience, they should listen because that's the least answered question and it's the least argued question from our opposition. I don't ever remember anyone wanting to have a debate about that point. One person did. There was one or two guys with Anthony one time, but when you say it, people kind of, because you say it so fast, because you're so used to saying it, and people hear it and they're so used to hearing it, they don't pay attention to it. From a presupposed sphere. So to even have that thought, you have to pre-assume that the Earth already is a globe.
Are you just like rubbing in to the other, going through a bit of anthropomorphizing the housekeeping questions? Are you saying that housekeeping question is like rubbing it in the face of the level running equidistant to the centre of Earth in terms of how good it's refined? Because again, that molten iron core question is incredibly refined, isn't it? At the centre of a presupposed spherical Earth, you're saying, right, even the starting point for talking about the core requires you to presuppose Earth's a sphere with an R value that's debunked. And it's all wrapped up in that question.
Yeah, the center.
You have to
equidistance.
take the question first.
Oh, Jorge's having another flashback. Go on, Jorge.
No, when you say center, you're talking about a center of a sphere needs to be equidistant all around, isn't it?
That's where the core would reside, yeah. Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, at the centre point where their radius value would lie, where you'd stand at the equatorial plane if you're measuring angles to stars. Yeah. There's somehow going to be a way we'll incorporate
and many other
that.
Things.
Go on. Sorry.
The force of down will be in the center as well, the center of mass. I mean, so many things in the center. Like you just pointed out, even the celestial sphere is in the center.
The middle one, no. So that not the case for 107 years at least. No. Anyway.
Yeah, I understand that, but they need the water to bend. They need to deny level. That's why the housekeeping question, because level refers to liquids. Liquids conform to the shape of the container that they are in, and the surface is level. That's what level refers to, liquids.
Again, I agree, and it's one of the reasons that keeping the phraseology as level running equidistant, just even in that short phraseology, it resonates so wide in the way it's phrased. It's just Adam's got such a good point. It's hard to ignore, right?
I think Jorge is actually pointing out the connection between is there any evidence? Let's just say, is there any evidence that all points along a level are equidistant from the center of a sphere? Well, for them to claim that we live on a globe and that water is conforming to the outside of that globe, then their only evidence could be gravity, right? Then, right, even though that's not evidence, that's what their response would often be. But gravity is not a force. So it doesn't matter what they say, or sorry, that's not what I meant to say. Then is there any scientific evidence for gravity? You know, because the two questions are linked. Those two housekeeping questions are directly linked.
Right.
I think that's what Jorge is saying.
When we have the word level, as a baller, I want to say, well, yeah, in my head, I can reconcile that at all points on a level, they are all equidistant, because I can set up a water level, yeah, and I know I'm on a ball, and wherever I go on that water level, it's going to be equidistant from the center of the ball I'm on, because that's how gravity works. I'm not going to change my mind because it's a level. But if I'm forced in, and it's applicable, the term there on a ball, it has a meaning and in their faith, yeah. But horizontal cannot be a level in terms of around a ball. It can't be equidistant because the term horizontal is much more rigidly defined and less abusable on a ball Earth. They don't have curvy horizontals. They have curvy levels in their world, which is why I prefer horizontal, because there's no arguing that definition. They can equate it to level, and if they equate it, that's fine. It's defined as a straight line rather than a curving level. Right.
Yeah, we're not gonna resolve this here. What I'll do is I'll drop Math Powerland a line, and we'll get some clarity from him, and we'll see where we go from there. Okay, everyone cool?
See the new handler.
Handler? I don't know what this term means.
Okay.
Any scientific evidence? Brian's already asked. Any scientific evidence of gravity?
Nope.
No science.
This featured heavily in the video that I've done. Neil deGrasse Tyson, The Witch and the Earth Curve, featuring or starring Tom Cruise, available to members now. And in that video, I focused heavily on exactly that. The fact that Becky starts asserting that there's a gravitational force, and she takes the host of the show that she's guest star on through this little imagination trail of spaghettification at the edges of black holes at the event horizon. And she gets him full on hypnotizes him, gets him into this fantasy land and gets him all scared, works on your primeval, whatever they call it, your base instincts don't die. So she's talking about how scary it is and how grateful we've got to be to heliocentrism, that we're not in a worse part of the woods, so to speak, in the heliocentric worldview. So once she's done all that, he then asks her about, would there be a deflection? Would Tom Cruise whiz off? Yeah. And she says, no. That pseudo geometry of fourth dimensional space-time bending tethers Tom Cruise to the Earth. You're like, whoa, Becky. That's a big problem when you've got a very well-known claim called Coriolis effect. Now, Coriolis effect is real. Nobody would deny that unless they were a buffoon. Everybody knows that. Anybody here on the panel deny that Coriolis effect is real?
Nope.
I can wiki search it.
No,
Yeah, you can
just want to
demonstrate
clarify.
with the merry-go-round.
Is there anybody dumb enough to say, no, Coriolis effect is not real?
Earth-based Coriolis.
No, I didn't say Earth-based Coriolis. Don't ruin my point, Neil. I'm casting my own little spell here. Bloody ruining it. I love Neil. Neil's ace. So now they're going to disclaim what I'm actually doing. Coriolis effect is real, right? You can induce it by tossing a ball over the top of a roundabout, right? Now, if somebody sat on that roundabout watching the ball that's moving straight looks like it's curving because you're on a roundabout spinning beneath. That's Coriolis. The curve that you see from the roundabout in a ball that's actually travelling straight, that's Coriolis. It is real. Now, I was going to subtly juxtapose that with Earth turning, but Neil's already ruined that, so we'll just have to be very, very clear about why I'm actually saying. Now, Earth is claimed to have that very real effect. It doesn't. We don't see that effect. But Earth is claimed to have Coriolis effect. Most reasonable people with a slight idea of their education will remember that they were taught that Earth has Coriolis effect. It's reasonably well mentioned throughout general society. So if I say Coriolis effect, a lot of people will actually think it's synonymous and only associated with an Earth that turns, because they don't understand the example I gave with a man on a roundabout and a ball tossed straight looking like it curves because he's turning beneath it on a roundabout, right? But if that's true on an Earth that's turning, then you turn beneath, say, a football that's tossed from a football field, and as you see it looking like it curves through the goal, you could assert that that's actually because Earth turned underneath to cause a 15 degrees an hour deflection known as Coriolis effect. Now, that is actually a globe Earth claim. There is a claim that Earth turns underneath footballs at 15 degrees an hour to cause them to deflect. Well, that claim is well known, and Mr. deGrasse Tyson will attest to such nonsense, that Earth's turning underneath footballs. But Becky, Dr. Becky, the witch, the heretic, who in years gone by, having gone against the church and what they say is in the sky with angels and God, having gone against it, would be burned at the stake for heresy. Yeah, she is saying, no, a non-force force that you can think of as a force called gravity, actually the bending of a pseudo-Riemannian force space-time invented by Einstein and not in any way affecting our physical reality, tethers Tom Cruise in violation of Coriolis drift. So Becky, like Simon Dan, possibly the most prevalent example of stupidity in the anti-flat Earth realm, we've now got a actual glober to be as dumb as Simon Dan. Dr. Becky, you're going to get an award for something. Because up until now, the stupidity level sank as low as Dan, who has debunked his own claim by the following statement to me in a tweet. You and your reference frames are ruined. Those reference frames that the globe uses to assert there's a 15 degrees an hour deviation to prove we're spinning, those reference frames, Dan. Yeah, the reference frames that are negated by a gravitational tether, according to Becky. Yeah? Because obviously the stars aren't moving, they're all tethered to the ground, one reference frame. That's why it's not all whizzing by away from you at 15 degrees an hour like the globe Earth claims. No, it's all in the same system, according to Becky. Only one reference frame, it's all tethered. So the stars have stopped spinning and Tom Cruise isn't drifting, according to Becky, who doesn't understand her own religious faith in an Earth-based second reference frame turning beneath the stars to cause them to drift at 15 degrees an hour. Sound familiar, Becky? And footballs to drift through goals at 15 degrees an hour. Sound familiar? And bullets to need their trajectory accounting for the targets in the distance because Earth's going to turn underneath them at 15 degrees an hour. Does this all sound familiar? Well, Becky obviously hasn't been doing her homework for her heliocentric religion that she punts, because she says that doesn't happen. No drift, no 15 degrees an hour, no Coriolis, all tethered. Of course, she doesn't understand that gravity's not a force, and she doesn't understand that Earth's supposed to have Coriolis effect, reducing flight times that go west, as Earth turns underneath them, reducing a flight from Charlotte, North Carolina to Los Angeles to about an hour and a half, No, definitely not the case, but definitely the globe Earth rhetoric that she should be spouting. So we can actually take apart the actual globe claim that she doesn't understand. So she's sunk to the levels of stupidity of Simon Dan by saying, no, it's all tethered together, no drift. Stars stopped as well, did they, Becky? Yeah, all same system, no more star movement, no second reference frame, all the same system. What an utter clown Becky is. Learn your own religion. If you're going to lie to people about the sky with your little just so stories, at least understand the overarching religious faith that you're a part of, Becky. Because otherwise a flat earther like me will come here and call you a clown, call you ignorant. How dare you tell an audience what the world does when you don't even understand the basics of the religion, the basics children are taught about Coriolis effect. I mean, a lot of people think that's only associated with the Earth, but you forgot about it when you tethered Tom with a non-force to the ground that's rotating, giving us no effect to claim we're spinning. So what are we using to prove the spin? Does the stars move above him as he's tethered in the same system? Is that suddenly 2 reference frames and 1 reference frame, Becky? You've got a lot of confused ideas about how the globe works. It's supposed to have 2 reference frames. You just said everything's tethered with gravity, which isn't a force. Clown. It was fun with Becky too yesterday, wasn't it? Just like with Dave. I really enjoyed that too. It was cathartic. I really enjoyed it. Ripping Becky a new asshole for her abject stupidity and total ignorance of the globe. Really good fun pointing out where priests don't understand their own nonsense. How we as flat earthers are far superior in our understanding of a heliocentric world we're not living in. That's why we can take your nonsense apart, Becky. We know it better than you do. Obviously, or you wouldn't be telling people how there's no drift when a journalist asks you how Tom and why Tom and would Tom drift away. Well, like Coriolis effect. That seemed to be what he was asking about. Would he drift away at like a 15 degrees an hour rate or what? No, definitely not, says Becky. Right, you don't understand your own globe faith. I do, Becky, better than you do. Isn't that sad? That a flat earther can educate you on your own stupid nonsense? You shouldn't ever be in a position to have corrections come from a flat earther, Becky. That's truly humiliating. Me? Correcting you? You ignorant fool? Telling the world how ignorant you are as a globe priest? Yeah? You're not. You're a witch. Yeah, you should be burnt at the stake. For heresy. Metaphorically speaking, of course. Like in days of yore. Might not even be true, but they claim they burn heretics at the stake. You know how it is. For being witches and going against the church. And their claims of Coriolis effect at 15 degrees an hour, where Tom would drift away. Yeah, like the stars. 2 reference frames. Yeah, she doesn't understand any of this. Why is she in front of cameras? Why is she talking to the world? At least know the rhetoric, Becky. Heaven forbid you get it right once in a while. Yeah, that was actually really good fun. Any scientific evidence to gravity? Definitely not, then. About any single viable hypothesis from any of the fields of astronomy, cosmology, or astrophysics?
It's also not science.
Again, covered in that video. Becky doesn't know what science is. A lot of them, all of them, in fact, don't know what science is. I think that's it. Did we cover all of the housekeeping questions? 40 minutes. That's pretty good. Did I miss any? My panel's in total stunned silence at my rant at Becky, clearly. So. Well, it's good to have your support, members of G+.
I was completely shocked and appalled. What happened? I'm sorry. I had to step away for a minute.
No, that's okay. At one point, we were asking your opinion on the disgust level of the housekeeping question. Any evidence that level runs equidistant to the centre of Earth? And there's certain aspects of that disgust that you said you felt when that was phrased in a question to a glober by either you or Eli, I forget who. But I was hoping when I asked you to do it a while back, we'll have our own little flashback now. What aspect of it was it that that induced the disgust? That's the main bit I want to get out of you.
Well, I said, well, level is just conforming to the surface of Earth, because I was arguing as an anti-flat earther. And he's like, yeah, maybe. Okay, what's that mean? I was like, well, if the surface of Earth's curving, then level's curving. And then he come back with that question, and it just made me feel icky all over, you know?
Are you looking for the origins, Nathan, of where that question, why we end up, like, why that was proposed as a housekeeping question?
No, I totally understand why it's proposed as a housekeeping question.
But were you asking how did the conversation come about?
No, I'm asking John, what is it about the phraseology that leaves you feeling uncomfortable? There you go. There's a better phrasing.
I think it's where it's tied to reality. Level is, you can't get away from it. It's not, you know, it's not conceptual. You're not talking. It's something you experience. So I don't know. I think it's any way that you can respond to it made me feel like if you were anti-flat earther or glober, just make you feel dirty inside.
I think that's as much detail as we're going to get it. We will refine it though.
But I was going to say something about the pure geometry. I don't think it's a pure geometry argument. I don't think that's, to take it to geometry may be a mistake.
Yeah, that's a kind of double negative though. It is inherently about the geometry. That's predominantly what the discussion will be and is about. But you're saying, no, leave it out there loose so that someone like Adam, playing devil's advocate earlier, they can take it to wherever they like and start just justifying what horizontal versus level is. But I like the term level mainly because of how they argue and how they phrase things.
Hold on a second. Don't all have questions say sphere in it too, right? We have them that we beg the question for them. What's the difference with this one?
We don't have to.
Well, we're not begging the question. Equidistant from the center of Earth. Nobody ever said it was a sphere.
Okay, hold on. What's Earth? How do you know where the center of Earth is? What
It
is
invites.
it?
This is why you feel dirty, Neil. Right, Neil. That's why it makes you feel dirty. It invites you to expand upon it, doesn't it? Right, and there's aspects that aren't clarified, and it seems malformed. So you want to immediately, even as a flat earther, you want to square all those circles straight away, and you want to get that out of the way. Every time, I've never known a housekeeping question that's invited so much discussion from the panel about how they don't like it. Right, and it's always the same. It's always, I don't like it, it makes me, and then it develops into a discussion. Now I'm yet to see how this is actually padded out with a globe believer or anti-flat earther, whatever, globe heretic. I'm yet to see how it'll roll, but I'm inclined to keep the phraseology just as it is because of I tend to kind of half get out to phrase it, remember it after a little pause, throw it out there thinking, I might not get any reaction today. Someone might just say no, or it'll develop into you don't know, but then it tends to develop into this sort of discussion each time I've said it. So for me, that's positive. Makes me not want to change it, not for any reason that it's good, bad, or indifferent. Quick shout out to Godzilla37. He says, "This one is from the cheap globers that are always watching but never contributing." No, that's not true. There are certain globers that have smashed the super chat, maybe once or twice.
But that was my point about it.
Thank you for the super chat.
That was my point about the question the way it is. It's inviting people to step into a trap.
The reason I like, see, the baller will agree with the geometry. Okay? It's a nice, easy win first off. They've then got to explain why, for their reality, they're going to deny the geometry. Why some of these terms don't make the same meaning anymore. And it's an easy point for you to agree on, the first bit, before it gets into all the convoluted bits that it can head into.
It's even like a bear trap for Adam.
It is. It's smelly. That's why it's engaged me, and why I've thought, right, what's the best way for me not to be able to argue it? And if I'm defining and agreeing geometric terms which I can't argue against, it's just pure geometry. So there's no argument. I can deny it and leave the conversation, but I can't deny the geometric statements of truth. How then do I strap that onto my full reality is a lot more difficult to justify.
Well, here, I'll try this geometric statement of truth. Can a horizontal line encompass a space?
But you've just used horizontal.
Can a horizontal line encompass a space?
Yeah.
And that's geometrically possible.
Yeah.
Demonstrate.
No, it can't encompass a space, can it? It can only fill part of the space.
Yeah, Nathan didn't understand it.
Yeah, but no, I did. If I define the space, what's wrong with it encompassing it? What do you mean?
It's a line. A line can't go around anything.
Oh, right. By encompass, as opposed to fill the horizontal aspect from one side of the page to the other, you're saying fill the entirety of the page when you say encompass. Let's go through it again. I clearly don't understand.
Yeah, but when we turn around, the horizon encompasses it. When we try to describe it as a line, it falls apart.
Ah, now I follow. Okay.
This isn't just about geometry. Geometry is just the language that we're going to use to describe what's happening.
Absolutely profound. Hopefully you're all pondering this in the audience too. God, I love being on Flat Earth Debate. Please share the show.
Can I give some context about where this started?
We can, but we've got a quarter of an hour left, and I'm hoping to cover a little bit of the same guy as yesterday in terms of the interviewer, On the Edge with Andrew Gold.
Yeah, no worries.
Subscribe today. And 10th has kindly dug up something that is going to be quite interesting to cover on account of the fact that this is absolutely virgin fresh to me. I have not seen this before. There's a link to Andrew Gold's channel. Given the amount of stuff we've taken from his channel so far, please go and subscribe to him. Just leave him a little comment. Nathan Oakley 1980 sent me. And subscribe to him. He deserves a few more subs. As I say, he's given us at least 2 days of material now. So, yeah. Okay. Are we all ready to have a quick listen to this? I've picked a random point. We are at 16 minutes, 25 seconds. I've no idea what that will entail, but hopefully they dispense with all their hello, who are you, and where are you from. We all know who they are. The players are Andrew Gold from On the Edge with Andrew Gold YouTube channel. Subscribe today. And Professor Dave Explains YouTube channel. Who's the guest? There you go. I've done dispense with hopefully what was 16 minutes of material.
Of drug development and find out that you have nothing. The drug
is onto non-FE subjects.
And things might have these like malignant ideas and things, but the people trying to save us with medicine, they're the real bad.
Flat Earth related
are still clinging to this sentiment, and now Wakefield is just a complete. He's a monster, this guy. He's a total charlatan. He just, he lost his career, so he's just all in on the lies now. And he's just, goes and gives these talks to these rich idiots on a boat. And
10th, do you happen to know where there's a good point in this to start from that's related to our subject?
Hesitant to tell that story because there's that, do you know the
Streisand which one do you have? You have two that he did. Which one did you go to?
I've gone to the one that's called Flat Earth, Trans, Science, and Anti-Vax.
So obviously you're on the other part. What's the second one labeled?
Right.
I don't know. I've only got this one. Perhaps if they covered
when I've spun past it, maybe I've. Just so you know.
Say again?
Still playing out. That's still playing out to the audience. So you know.
Yeah, I did know. Yeah, I was just kind of listening to you in the background whether or not he's actually talking about FE. I just couldn't, and now I can't at all because I've muted it because of you. But there we go. Anyway.
I didn't want you to get a strike.
Oh, right. No, thank you. That's a good point. Yes, I shouldn't really be letting it just play out in its entirety. I don't know whether or not this guy's vindictive. He's not a big enough channel to have automatic copyright striking in action. So I don't know. If you do copyright me, Andrew Gold, I'll be very disappointed. We are definitely doing this for the purposes of fair use and all that kind of crap. Not that I should ever have to disclaim that. Anyway, but I do appreciate that. I don't think there's any automatic algorithm that will pick up on this in that regard, which is why I wasn't that concerned. But that might change. It might massively grow, and suddenly I'm getting copyright strikes because he does get the automatic programming to do that. So either way, thank you. Right. Should we start maybe at the beginning and see if we can find anything FE related? We'll give it another go.
My goal is to be a musician, have that be a big part of my
No,
life
no,
as well.
Nathan,
An anti-establishment.
Go to Nathan, sorry. Go to Master D, go to the one where it starts right away with Flat Earth, and then on this one, we'll have to skim through to see where he talks, but go to the one I just posted.
Is this the same? Oh, yes, okay, so this is a different video. I'll share this one as well, so copy link. This is, again, the On the Edge with Andrew Gold YouTube channel, and it's a... I don't think it's the same.
Probably our place's biggest fan, and right now they're actually running the biggest sale of the year, so I'm going to show you guys.
Did you ever imagine that Flat Earth would be such a big thing for you? Because it's got millions and millions of views, all the Flat Earth stuff.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, you've got them all, you smug bastard. Yeah, that's why I struggle. And you have gained all of the views with your total nonsense drivel and your fake title. Yeah, I bet you're delighted that Flat Earth's become a thing because we've been replaced by you. Anti-Flat Earth is what you get if you search Flat Earth now. So yeah, I bet you're absolutely elated with it. I bet it's made you a small fortune.
Absolutely not. No way.
No, I'm not at all delighted with a massive smile on his face. You lying bastard. First words out your mouth are a lie. What, you don't like the fact that you're getting hundreds of thousands of views and YouTube revenue from that? No, I'm not pleased with that at all.
I got dragged into it, these globe busters. I had heard that some people think the Earth is flat, and
no, it's measured flat, navigated flat. It's not that some people with the stereotyping fallacy. Oh man, we're already into this, aren't we? This is good fun. I'm going to step back a bit. My intention, which I've already stepped away from, was to actually let you guys pull this apart a little bit more because listening back to the shows as much as I like the sound of my own voice, it wasn't very much from you guys, so I'm hopefully going to encourage that. So can you pipe up and tell me when to pause, and I'll pause and you can rip it apart in whatever way you see fit? Is that good by you guys on the panel? Or in Discord for that matter?
Yeah. Well, just on that point, nobody on this panel thinks that the Earth is flat. We know that it's measured to have a horizontal baseline. It's navigated flat. Flat is what the necessary aspect is that we must use to do all the things that we do across large expanses of the Earth.
And I didn't look into it at all, but I made...
No, you didn't. You just got handed some research stuff that you read out. Yeah.
A video about how we know it's round, and it shot up to the #1 search result for the keyword the day I published it. And so these globe busters were like, haha, we're gonna make fun of this video, and they were complete jerks to me. They were so jerky and condescending, and
who cares? So
hang on, he's projecting. The video we did of him, but before this Andrew Gold one, he was very condescending and jerky. This guy's just projecting what he does.
I was like, all right, that's not how this is going to go. So I made a little 45-minute response video just completely humiliating them. And
so contradicting himself. So they were really nasty to me. They were really jerky to me. So I humiliated them in this video I made. All right. So double standards then.
Now that is the most viewed video on my entire channel by a lot.
Pause, please.
And the other flat Earth.
Yeah, the one that we went through, he said a lot about nothing, and he never proved anything. So all he did was make fun of and be condescending. When he should just prove that it's round with a geometric horizon that's physical, he could never do that. So all he did was just talk about nonsense in the 2 videos before that you critiqued.
Yeah, I've listened to Professor Dave over the past 3-4 years, and I've heard absolutely nothing out of him in the way of an argument against what we say.
given that's the case, anybody want to pose something to Professor Dave that he might be able to refute or overcome? Maybe a
Yeah,
positive
if the Earth
assertion?
is a sphere, if the Earth is a sphere with a radius of 3959, then every horizon distance can be no further than 1.2 times the square root of the observer's height in feet. This is your globe Earth math. It needs to be geometric. It needs to be physical blockage at sea level, looking out from 1 foot observer height. The blockage must start at 1.2 miles out and no further. Don't tell me that Neil deGrasse Tyson says you can never see it as high as 160,000 feet, but it's blocking the bottoms of boats and buildings in the kindergarten class and the grade school classes to fool people that there's actual physical curvature, but you can never see it. This is nonsense. He hasn't proven anything.
Further to that, we've demonstrated that the claim of a horizon at 1.2 times the square root of the observer's height in feet is beyond the geometric limitations in that claim. Your claim, the globe claim. The imagery is called the black swan. The reason it's called a black swan is because you only need to demonstrate once that the horizon's not a physical obstruction blocking, in this case, some oil rigs. It's massively in excess of the blockage claimed to be there and beyond the oil rigs themselves, meaning the horizon is not a blockage. It's not Earth curve. It's not an obstruction to your view at 1.2 times the square root of the observer's height in feet, as they claim the hill called Earth curve is. So Earth hasn't got a horizon that's physical. It's not a hill getting in the way that changes with your elevation, as asserted by the globe Earth maths. We have debunked that. Go and have a look at the black swan. It's so concise in terms of the argument now that I've managed to get it into a shorts video, less than 60 seconds long, summarising the entire argument, as 10th Man's just done. So this isn't a new argument. We debunked Earth having a sphere-edge horizon, which would also be your derivation point for a measurement of an R value for a radius to assert all the distances to stars and stuff. We've debunked that. It's all been debunked.
Sorry for stepping over you, but let me just give, before Brian goes, so I'll be quick, Brian. It's like someone claiming to be a billionaire. You say, wow, you're a billionaire. Great. Where's your money? Oh, it's in this bank, the biggest bank in the world. Oh, well, there happens to be the main branch right here, a mile down the road. Can we go there? And if you verify it, then you're a billionaire. So we go to the bank and shows the ID and everything. And here comes the statement. He says, no, we don't have your name here. And so that means there's zero in the account. Yeah, but this is my bank and I'm a billionaire. Okay, so this is much like the globe claim. We're on a sphere with a radius of 3959 and curvature at 1 foot observer height must be no further than 1.2 miles, except there's nothing there. They've never shown it. No one's ever seen it. It's a fraud.
Yeah, and we can show it beyond that.
What?
So, yeah, game over.
What I would say directly to Dave would be two things. Number one, when someone points out to Dave that the horizon is not a geometric location, the only response that Dave can give is to claim that it's refracted, which means that he's not dealing with a globe Earth then that has a radius of 3959 miles. He's dealing with a globe Earth that has a radius of at least 4618 miles, right? So there is never a point, due to his claim, his rebuttal, let's just say, to what I would state, or someone would say to him, that means his rebuttal is that there was never a point when he's actually dealing with anything geometric. So every claim he makes involves pre-assumption of something geometric that he could never measure due to the horizon not being geometric, admittedly by him, because he even, as a rebuttal, he has to claim it's refracted, and refraction is not geometry.
Every claim, including but not limited to the very refraction he is claiming if he uses that in rebuttal. Refraction on a globe is terrestrial refraction, otherwise known as atmospheric refraction. And atmospheric refraction is a mathematical derivation of the R value. And what Brian's just pointed out is if you claim refraction of the horizon, then there is no geometric point to measure to get R. And his rebuttal, if refraction was his rebuttal, is to say 7/6 of the radius, or any derivation that I choose, is the reason the horizon's moved. So R, in a geometric measurement, and the derivation thereof, has moved the horizon. I got far from as a physical limitation hill in the way. So it's not a hill in the way, it's a refraction. It's a hologram of the horizon. Right, so how'd you measure R? To assert that you've refracted it with R. It's a paradox. It's not, because we don't have a geometric horizon. Makes no difference, we're not on a sphere, Earth's a plane. But their assertion comes with a measurement of a geometric horizon, which they tell us isn't geometric when we point out that it can't be geometric. Oh, well, it isn't, it's refracted. Bye-bye, globe claims of geometry. Bye-bye, Earth physically blocking boats in the distance. Refracted? So how did you measure it? You can't anymore. It completely annihilates the claim the moment they say refraction. We've been telling them since 2020 that their model implodes the moment they say they can't measure any geometry because it's refracted. They're idiots. Literally 2.5 years later, they still don't get it. Dave's as stupid as most of them.
It's a good concession.
It's a concession, exactly.
Well, it means that any blockage, that if Dave was to make this as a rebuttal, because he can't claim it's geometric, he can't do that. So all he can do as a rebuttal is either one of two things: admit that there is no globe, or claim that the horizon is refracted. But it means that when that rebuttal is given by him, I'll single him out, if he gave that rebuttal, right, hypothetically, that means that his claim would be that any blockage that we see, right, any potential blockage that we may see in the distance to the bottom of a boat or a building is purely optical. So there is no geometric blockage. His claim alone is that it's an optical blockage, which means not physical, not real, not something physical getting in the way, not our curve. End of debate.
With that, I'll say if you are watching this on either Nathan Oakley 1980 or Nathan Oakley Premiering streams, then stay tuned. There will be an after show to follow. Unfortunately, if you are watching this live, this is where we bid you farewell. So another massive thank you to both Discord and G+ panels, and of course to you watching live. Stay tuned if you're watching on an after show. I've been Nathan Oakley, and I will see you all in the next video.
What a lovely day!
It's always in the world of
Always
internet.
assume they're being recorded, right?
Always. Happy Thanksgiving to all.
You too. Hey, Ted Man, I'm going to have to call you tomorrow, or call me, because I got to pick your brain about moving.
Something about it which doesn't seem, on the surface, it doesn't seem that dangerous compared to like another conspiracy theory about the Jews or whatever it might be. Sure, it's flat Earth, and it seems almost quaint. It seems almost like we're going back to a time when people believed silly things.
Sorry, it's not a conspiracy theory. There is no conspiracy theory that the Earth is not a globe. It's a geometric fact measured daily by aircraft.
Also,
the conspiracy theory is the globe, and
exactly.
Do they really believe? Do you think? Because I've talked a lot on here about psychics, and we talk about eyes open.
Nathan, pause. Adam wasn't finished, and I haven't said anything. Go on, Adam.
Well, no. I can reiterate the point, but a conspiracy is something to cover up, to deceive, to trick people.
Well.
Flat Earth doesn't fit in that, does it?
Well, okay, we all heard what he said. Going back to the past. Well, they all believed it was flat in the past. What? Oh my God!
Yeah,
exactly. What's he trying to say?
Yeah, but the thing is that when he uses the term conspiracy theory, that's a colloquial theory, which means it's just a theory that people have. That's the way he's relaying it. But this is not true. I don't have a theory, some colloquial theory, that the Earth is got a horizontal baseline that's flat. I know it's flat. I know it's horizontal. I know what airplanes do and don't do. I know what submarines do and don't do. We know how celestial navigation works. This is not some random, random theory that people just decided to just believe in. I don't have the belief. I know the Earth is not a globe.
His
Yeah, he's not agree and disagree anymore.
His logic is flawed here, because if this show had to do with the structures and pyramids, oh my goodness, the people in the past, they were so technological. We can't even do the things they did back then now. That's what he would say about the people in the past. Because the globe theory is the conspiracy. Oh, the people in the past didn't know what the Earth was. They were stupid, but we've advanced to science, really pseudoscience. This guy is nuts.
You can't have a con without a mark. Right. The ones that run the channels, they know. They've been doing this for a while and they've had it proven to their face 100 times. They all know. They're just, I think that they got into it maybe genuinely from delusional narcissism and.
Well, projecting again, Dave, you haven't proven one thing. You just ramble on.
Nathan, have you gotten anything proven to your face? I didn't know that.
Have I what?
Well, Dave claims that every flat Earth channel has had the globe proven to their face 100 times. So that means he's calling you a scammer, Nathan. That's what Dave is calling you. Because he's used the term every con needs a mark. So he's making it as if you're a con man and I'm a mark and people in the audience are marks. That this is all part of your scheme.
That's right.
That's what Dave is saying.
It's an absolute outrage, because there is absolutely zero, I mean nothing whatsoever, to suggest that I'm trying to, extort money out of people. And on that note, make sure you smash the super chat, hit the PayPal link, join us on Patreon, smash the share button.
Yeah, but off the fact that you do need the support to stay on YouTube, and obviously you're on YouTube to make money, no problem. You've got a good evergreen subject topic. He's avoiding the issue. Listen, right now, Dave, show me Earth curve where it's supposed to be based on your 3959 radius. Just show it to me.
Why would you ask him that? Sorry, if you're asking him to show you a white swan?
I'm asking him to prove that there are no black swans.
You can't prove that, because once you've shown that there is no geometric limitation at the horizon called Earth curve, it doesn't suddenly become a physical limitation the next day. It either is a hill in the way, or it isn't. Once you show it isn't, that's it. It's not a hill getting in the way. It's not Earth curve. He's never gonna. Even if he took up your offer and showed you a white swan, well, no, it doesn't mean all swans are white.
No, that's not what I meant. Every time, okay, if they say refracted, we say, how'd you get the measurement? How'd you get it? If it's refracted, it's going to change by the weather one day to another. How do you know it's 3959? How did you get that measurement? What did you do? It would have to be geometric. It would always have to be at that place at any elevation height if you kept that as a constant. So if you have 1 foot above sea level, it'll always have to be 1.22 or less, because the weather might be different. It might be foggy, but it can never be more than. That is never going to be something he can do. And he needs that for the globe.
Right. We've debunked the claims that the Earth is a sphere based on their claim it's a sphere with their mathematics and their geometry of it being a sphere. Well, we've shown that cannot be. In other words, debunked it. So, like I say, Dave isn't going to be able to do anything to overcome that. Literally nothing.
No, but he said he's shown it to us 100 times.
He's just lying.
Can I say something? He said that every car needs a mark. And his mark is the world, because he can't show any evidence of anything pertaining to heliocentric claims that they make. So he's the con.
Wanting to, and then they started to climb this little ladder, and they have like a little bit of status, and they're making a little bit of money, from YouTube and other avenues.
Literally 30 seconds earlier, he talked about the cash that was rolling in from his flat Earth content. So now he's criticising flat earthers for making the money that he's making off the back of the subject that we cover. He opposes and doesn't understand. He's the one making all the cash, but he's criticising us for making the money. All right, okay, that makes no sense. Literally makes no sense.
Yeah, but what I tried to say there a second ago is that the marquee or present is Andrew Gold, the journalist. He's the mark at present, because Dave is the con. Because Dave has openly stated there within the past 30 seconds or whatever of that interview that flat Earth, or that the globe has been proven to every flat Earth channel 100 times over. Now, not one time ever has anyone presented any evidence for the globe Earth in my 7 years of doing this. Not one time.
Just call it like it is. Okay.
Never seen it.
Right.
So,
just call it like it is. Dave's a liar.
Who's the con?
Dave has not done this. He's a liar.
Okay, fine. But where's
I would
Andrew
like to
Gold?
ask him a question.
Excuse me. Where's Andrew Gold saying, okay, show me the evidence you've shown them? Why is Andrew Gold not going to do that?
Well, we might do. We don't know. I've not watched this yet. Go ahead, Jorge. What's your question?
No, the question is for Professor Dave. I already asked the panel here. How can you have a sphere without curvature?
Exactly.
And now they can't get out. It's their identity. But definitely people fall for it, or there'd be no money in it, right? Who's giving the super chats and watching there's people fall for it. I don't.
What, fall for it? What do you mean? They're watching you. They're listening to you.
Yeah, he's got over 1 million subscribers supposedly.
Right. And his biggest video, his breakout video, is all about flat Earth. But his criticism is directly levelled at what he's benefiting from.
I would estimate under 10,000 in the entire.
Can I make a suggestion, Nathan? That you don't try and hold back. I reckon that it flows better when you just are naturally just getting angry at it and doing what you did.
Okay.
Because, it flows better because you're waiting for us to say pause and you have to then kind of pause it. We'll say something if we want to say something, but it flows better when you're just being yourself, because you're holding yourself back when you're listening to this and not saying something.
Fine.
The audience want to hear. Yeah.
World, but they're there, and it's astounding.
I sort of unwittingly became a moderator because I co-host Sean Atwood's show, and it's like, oh, we're doing Flat Earth today, and there was you.
Okay, so Sean Atwood is the guy that hosted the debate between this Dave and our Dave. So Dave Weiss versus Professor Dave Explains YouTube channel. And so what he's explaining is he's a moderator for Sean Atwood, just in case anybody was asking, because somebody in the comments was like, is this the guy who hosted that debate? No, he's not Sean Atwood. This is Andrew Gold.
And there was a guy called Flat Earth Dave, and it was the first I'd seen of either of you, of course. And obviously, it's like I'm supposed to be this neutral guy, but obviously, Sean and I both know the Flat Earth thing.
People are complaining in the comments still to this day about how aggressive I was, and why couldn't you have like a good faith argument? It's like, what good faith argument? What are you talking about?
For example, Dave, if we put it to you that all of your models that you hold up in false dichotomy, when you strawman us, when you stereotype fallacy us, when you do that, they were all derived from a flat plane by way of elevation angle measurements to the stars in the sky. Now, if I was to put that to you, what would be your response? Because you're telling this audience you've given us hundreds of proofs of a globe Earth. No, you have not. But I'm putting one to you now in regards to how the maps and models you strawmanned us with are actually made. Now, you didn't get into how they were used, and you abused them in terms of how you described their usefulness because you didn't understand how they worked, which is fine. You're ignorant. Meanwhile, my question is, do you appreciate that your assertion of a globe Earth that we're standing on in your mind has the necessity for a flat Earth attached to it? Are you aware of that? Because I would speculate that that is an absolute stone cold proof that we are on a flat plane. Not maybe it's about the number of views I get or how much money I make or the importance I see that it offers me. No, the fact that your maps and models, all flat, claim to be spherical projections have come from elevation angle measurements taken from the flat surface we dwell atop. If I was to put that to you, that would have absolutely nothing to do with the list of things you detailed as motivations for being on YouTube talking about the fact we're on a flat plane. So I've just overcome everything he's just said.
Good faith conversation.
Nathan, 1 second. You skipped forward a bit there, did you? Because Andrew Gold was about to give what his and Sean Atwood's opinion was on the flat Earth at one point there before you brought Dave back in there.
Yeah, I just spun past.
All right.
The Earth is objectively a sphere, and he knows that, and he's lying. He's not here to have a good faith conversation. He is here to run his script, to gish gallop, and...
So pure projection. Dave, in this instance, Professor Dave Explains YouTube channel, has got scripts. We've heard it from his own lips. But he's projecting that out to Dave Weiss. Dave Weiss, as much as we joke about Dave Weiss having scripts, I've seen Dave Weiss in action. I've been alongside Dave in action. I don't know how Dave operates. He does not have scripts. I can say that hand on heart, cast me down, all the rest of the nonsense that could go along with it. Dave does not use scripts. I know that for a fact. I know Dave personally. I know how he operates, and he doesn't use scripts. That's a fact. You do. So this is mere projection of what you do when you go out and make all of the money that's available by having your information put under the nose of anybody who's intrigued by this subject first. Again, another criticism you've levelled at us while you simultaneously take all of the bread out of our mouths in a very literal way if you're on YouTube making money from this subject, which you do and I don't. The money I make is far more limited. I'm not getting videos go viral when I talk about the fact we navigate a flat plane, the fact the maps and models have come from a flat plane, the fact you can only measure those maps and models with a flat plane. That's not going to go viral. You telling the world that we're all dickheads, that are only here for our own self-gratification, that'll go viral though, won't it, Dave? Yeah, it's not a very fair world in that regard, because you're part of the deception, so you're propped up. We can't be censored or just removed from YouTube, because what are you going to do? Remove us for saying that you do navigate a flat plane? That's just not very glamorous. But saying we're all idiots because there's an overriding control structure that you're a part of, yeah, that'll definitely get promoted. Regardless of how much poverty it leaves the people disseminating the truth. That's us in.
Try to jump away.
You're saying, Nathan, that he's accusing us of having scripts, yet you know for definite that David Weiss, doesn't have a script, doesn't work off a script.
Correct.
But Professor Dave does, just for context for the audience.
Yes, absolutely correct.
Yeah, okay, thank you.
From being pressed into answering any questions. So I had to press him. I had to hold him under my shoe like a bully. It had to be done.
Really? So when I hold you under my shoe, Dave, for the elevation angle measurements that Earth is utilising to give us our navigation tools like maps, what are you going to do? You're going to squirm like a guy holding a little child with his head down the bog like a bully? Because that's what you are metaphorically now. You're that child being dangled upside down into a bog as I flush the toilet repeatedly on your globe Earth assertion. Because your globe Earth assertion's swirling down the bog with all the turds swirling around your head, metaphorically speaking. Because I'm the bully in this scenario, aren't I, Dave? I'm bullying you into an acceptance that all you've done is hold up models that required flat Earth planes to measure, to give us them, including your globe. What are you going to do? Are you going to fight your way out of this, Mr. Big Bully? Because now you're being bullied by a flat earther who actually knows what he's talking about. I'm not holding a script either.
Can I ask a question fast?
Yeah?
Did you not ask him to come and interview you or something like that?
I asked him on the show. I didn't ask him to come and interview me. I asked him if he would like to come on the show to disseminate the now I know is a complete lie because I literally invited him on to give us one of the hundreds of proofs he's lied about giving us all. Well, no, I invited Dave on to give us them, and he didn't. Lying bastard, just lying to his audience. I mean, give him money, give him super chats, give him all the views. These lying bastards, that's what he is. Projecting what he sees as his own digressions, I assume, onto us, and making every cent that's available.
There's no other way to talk to these people. You have to hold them accountable for their...
Really? We have to hold you accountable, really, Dave? You've used models as straw men. They all came from flat Earth measurements. Fact. I'm holding you accountable, Dumbo. So what are you going to do? I'm holding you to task. Your video included flat Earth measured models. So I'm now bullying you. My head is on your face. head. My shoe is on your face. Too into the character. I'm getting too into it. Let's get back into character. I'm the bully now, Dave. My shoe is on you, making you accountable for the nonsense models that you asserted as straw man flat earth models we don't claim in your stereotyping fallacy. I'm holding you accountable for that crap, Dave.
Script, and you saw how many times I was like, what do you got with that? I'd like to change the topic. No, don't change the topic. Answer my question. I'm going to change the subject. It's like,
what was the question? You know, we don't care about your prowess in bullying, right? What was the point that you were making? What was the argument? Let's hear it, Dave. Not how well you can bully people with your mic that was 100 times louder than it needed to be, clipping to all hell, showing your total incompetence.
It's like, how can anybody watching this think that he's there to like actually communicate about ideas and reach some kind of truth?
That was his sole purpose in being there, you dumbo.
He's a con man.
You don't know that. You don't know that. We can't know that he might really believe it.
No, I'm 99% sure. I mean that.
No, I'm 99% sure. So completely agree with him, but yet disagree with him while you shift uncomfortably to scratch the back of your head, because he's essentially just caught you out in your nonsense doublespeak. Yeah, that's right. He's just caught you out and told crap, hasn't he, Dave? What, but 99% certain, as opposed to he's definitely just punting this crap I've just come up with. But there is a shred of, it could be just complete crap I've made up. Yeah, Dave. He's not an absolutely appalling journalist.
He makes his money off that flat Earth app.
Back to the money that you make from flat Earth,
which uses globe-based GPS data.
Ooh, globe-based GPS data. Over to Brian.
Yeah. GPS uses 3D Cartesian coordinates. That's the raw data that comes out of a GPS unit. Three-dimensional and two-dimensional Cartesian coordinates and polar coordinates are flat plane coordinates. They cannot be used on a curved surface because every square or cube needs to be equal in dimension to every other one. So
hey, Brian,
when he brings up GPS, he brings up flat Earth. Go on.
Brian, is a Cartesian coordinate number line curving?
Sorry, John, say that again.
Is the Cartesian coordinate number line curving?
No, it's X and Y. So X and Y coordinates, and then Z for the three-dimensional. X and Y is just purely using the azimuth scale. That's what it's using, because it's east, west, north, south, and then up, down for the Z. So X is east, west, Y is north, south, and Z is up, down.
Or to put it another way, you're going to need a flat plane for that.
Well, if you can find me an azimuth compass scale that is curved, you're going to have to work it out finding that.
Holding you accountable, Dave, for the nonsense you don't understand from your scripts that you read.
Like it uses it for the app to work. It has to be a globe. You know what I mean?
Really? You think Cartesian, three-dimensional, flat geometry needs a globe? Holding you accountable, Dave, for your absolute absurd stupidity that you're asserting. No, my friend. GPS uses 3D Cartesian system. It's not reliant on a globe. It's just in the title. Just because it says global in the global positioning system doesn't mean that it automatically requires curved surfaces when it's using 3D Cartesian coordinates. You just don't understand the shit you're talking, do you, Dave? This is me holding you down the bog, by the way. You like the bullying metaphors? Yeah, this is where you're turning purple. And then I'm pulling out going, ha ha ha, nearly dead. Let's do it again. Let's flush this tosser's head down the bog. Metaphorically speaking, Dave, yeah? Me being the bully that I am, pointing out the crap that global positioning systems actually use 3D Cartesian coordinate systems that are flat. Hello?
Just to add some extra context to it, how Dave thinks GPS works, even on his own globe, I could prove to any amount of people that how they say GPS works, which is the only way Dave would know how GPS, would think he knows how GPS works, because all he could do was refer to the everyday nonsense that they tell people. I could show without a shadow of a doubt that even if we were on a rotating globe, the way they say it works makes it impossible for it to work, even under those conditions. So Dave hasn't got a clue about what he's talking about.
Further to that, it's all been scanned by LiDAR. Just go and check it out. Google Earth has got a claim to be measured territory. And when you draw out elevation profiles claim to be measured by LiDAR, it's all flat. There's no smegging curve. Why? Well, you know what they use that for? Professionals use that program for, given its accuracy and the fact that it's been measured by LiDAR. They use it to put things like antennas up and work out whether or not they'll have obstructions in lines of sight. That's what they use it for. They work out their elevation from it. They determine it. They rely on it. It's a professional tool. There's no curve, though. You can literally draw an elevation line across the entire surface of the known world, and it'll show you that with a reference to 0, it's all flat. There's no earth curve whatsoever in the measurements. So I don't know what you're talking about, GPS. All of these little antennas that we've got lying around all over the place giving us 5G and 4G, and those GPS signals that we get on our phone. No, those have come from ground antennas. Definitely not global just because it's in the title. As Brian's demonstrated and shown on multiple occasions, this isn't using anything spherical. Just in the title for dumbos like you to parrot off and get all the flat earth views and money.
I mean,
Yeah, well,
it uses
the thing about it is, just before you move on, the thing about it is that what GPS uses, because it needs accuracy, is OS maps, ordnance survey maps, 2-dimensional and 3-dimensional ordnance survey maps. And that's what it uses for accuracy, because they're the most accurate maps in the world. They're also flat earth maps. They do not account for curvature. They're purely flat. They use 2-dimensional and 3-dimensional Cartesian XYZ coordinates within those maps.
There's no curve.
GPS uses.
Even within that, though, just to give this clarity in case anybody sticks this in the comments, even within Euclidean in three dimensions, those three aspects, you could have Earth being a sphere and described within those three aspects. But it would mean that the topology of the land would show that in an elevation profile. And it doesn't. So yes, it's all drawn out in Cartesian, but if that's the case and you have got a spherical Earth, then you're going to show measured curvature when you measure it. But it doesn't depict itself that way in Google Earth. It shows it flat.
Well, sorry, I didn't mean to step on you. I thought you were after finishing. No, you can't. If you're using Cartesian, there is no way to infer a curve.
No,
you can only infer horizontal.
You can. Let me just explain. Let me explain. Draw out a box with a length, breadth, and depth on a piece of graph paper. Now, inside that box that you've drawn out with dimensions, draw a sphere shape, radius 3959 by scale. There you go. I've just done it. But I'm saying that if you did that, when you drew out a massive elevation profile, which is one of those axes, within that axes, you'd see measured curvature, right? But you don't. It just matches the axis. It's flat by measurement. That's just a fact. If it was a sphere, it would show it curving in those three Cartesian coordinates. You'd see the curve through two of the axes. 3 if you were measuring it spherically. But you know what I'm getting at?
No, it's impossible. It's impossible. What you're saying is, what you're stating is impossible. Like, that's why I bring up the dimensions. If let's just take XY 2-dimensional. If every square for the XY coordinate system has to be equal in dimension to every other square, then it can't be curved. It has to be absolutely flat, because that's the horizontal baseline. That when they add in the z, which is the up and down, which is the elevations, the xy is then referencing mean sea level. So the xy.
Oh, right. Gotcha. I didn't appreciate that. I'll take it back. I take it back. I'm wrong. Gotcha. One of the axes is directly tied to something in physical reality at sea level. I hadn't appreciated that. I'll take it all back. I am incorrect. You couldn't lay it in those axes because of the way that the system's laid out. Okay, I appreciate it. I'm not a cartographer. I take it back. I was wrong.
No worries. I know you'd like to have it right.
Yeah. I wasn't. But I thought you could. I thought you could just draw a sphere in those dimensions on a piece of graph paper.
What I heard. Just let me just to clarify for anyone who's listening who's not understanding. If you try and take a flat page piece of graph paper and wrap it around a ball, then that has to be an elasticated graph paper, because all those squares are going to warp in dimension to each other. So the squares closer to the, let's say, the equator of the ball are going to be warped in accordance with the squares that are closer to its north pole, let's just say. So
it's not just the z-axis that would warp, you see. You've got to have curved circles for it to be able to transpose onto the ball. So if you pull it off the ball, then you're going to have bendy curved circles. It's the only way you could have it fit and wrap around the ball properly with squares.
Right.
Those squares couldn't be squares. They'd have to be spherical squares, which would just be defined by great circles.
Right, you're fundamentally altering. What you're saying is,
what I mean. So it can't fit in the X, Y, Z.
Yes, it's fundamentally altering an aspect of the geometry, as opposed to slotting it into the aspects that exist when you describe the sphere Earth. It's directly tied to the surface. Therefore, when you map it or take the circles off it, as you've described, when you've put it back on, you've physically curved one of the aspects of Euclidean geometry. It's like, no, that's not going to work. So that's why I have to concede, no, I get it now. No, you can't do that at all.
Yeah, but it's not. But it's actually worse than that. Now, it's actually to curve the XY coordinate system is in direct opposition to what the XY coordinate system is. Because as soon as you curve that, you change the dimensions. For the XY coordinate system to work, then each square or each cube, if you're using XYZ, has to be exactly the same in dimensions to every other one. But that won't be the case when you try and wrap that grid around a sphere. That's why you'll only ever see the latitude and longitude grid, which is also warped. A lot of people don't realize it when you put it onto a sphere, but not anywhere to the same way as you would with an XY or an XYZ. Because you can't keep all those squares, let's say XY squares, you can't keep them equal in dimension. They are going to warp, and that means you can't use them, can't be used. The whole point of the XY and the XYZ system is that every square or every cube is absolutely equal in dimension to every other one. So that's how it's defined. That's why it works.
So
it works because we don't live on a globe.
Well, I was going to say, it is then true what I said in the live show, which is you will need a flat Earth for that then.
Yeah, Nathan, what you were describing on a sheet of graph paper was a square and a circle within it. Much like if you've ever driven your car through a traffic circle. Okay, well, that's a circle, but it's two-dimensional. It's like horizontal curves when you come to a windy road. That has nothing to do with Earth being a ball with a radius. And what Brian is saying is that everything is gained from sea level. And if one square is set to sea level, all the other squares in dimension have to equal that. So it's a whole different argument that Brian gave. But you were right if you were going to say, are there horizontal curves on a flat Earth? Yeah, windy roads. But
you know what would be really useful for if you were a globe believer? If you had some sort of mathematics that, took straight lines, maybe took them through a different dimension to bend them. You could call it a geodesic. I don't know.
GPS to locate people. And like I said, the way that he interacts, he's very clearly just there to run.
So his proof C was GPS. So just the words global positioning system prove we're on a globe, do they? That's the standard from Professor Dave Explains YouTube channel. I thought you explained. Where's the explanation? You just said GPS and then gone on to repeated ad homs against Dave Weiss.
This script,
back on to talking about script. He's talking about scripts a lot. Guilty conscience, obviously.
I think I can meet his standard of evidence, though. A toaster uses flat pieces of bread, therefore the Earth is flat.
No, that's not quite comparable. No, by comparison, it's like aeroplanes. So yeah, so Earth's a plane. That's the same standard.
I don't know. I don't think you could probably make a connection with airplane.
No. He's going. He's saying global positioning system, therefore globe. And I go aeroplane, therefore plane. That's the same standard.
Okay, I'll concede that. Yeah.
In other words, crap, like the lowest of possible quality, crap standard. Like,
Well,
as
no,
opposed
actually,
to
John.
giving examples that literally save lives. Yes, celestial navigation saves lives. People don't die because they know the Earth is flat and they can measure it that way. That's a standard so far in excess of, well, global positioning system, obviously. What about the global positioning? How does it work, Dave? Can you explain? Professor Dave explains. Oh, you can't. You haven't. You're not going to. You're going to ad hom Dave. So Professor Dave explains the channel name itself is just a lie because he's not explaining. You know, parroting off global in a title for something doesn't explain how that system works, like Brian did and has done many times. Do you think you'll find that on Professor Dave Explains YouTube channel? An in-depth explanation for how the Euclidean three-dimensional system only capable of utilizing a flat plane works for global positioning. Maybe you could explain that, because we would point out that that needs a flat Earth. You're not explaining anything, you're just throwing it out there.
It does need a flat Earth. Lines of longitude and latitude, correct.
You know, attract people to he like it's so pathetic, but in this community there's like 5 or 6 guys that all want to be like the #1 flat earth guy.
No, what I will say though is there's me, I can only speak for myself, and in terms of my YouTubing, I want to be you. So I don't want to be these guys like the flat earthers you're describing and stereotyping. I actually want to be you. The guy who, when you type in flat earth, appears on the searches. That's what I want to be. I aspire to be you, or Simon Dan. I make it very clear. I verbalise my jealousy of Simon Dan quite frequently. I mean, he's a complete moron. He's thick as shit. He hasn't got a clue what he does when he tweets me about Earth reference frames being ruined. I mean, the guy's a complete idiot. But yet he gets all the views and all the money. Not me. So who do I aspire to? Do I aspire to be like Bob at Globebusters? Oh, definitely not. But Matt Powell, no, I don't aspire to be like him. He's an artist. He's got very little in common with him, actually. What about Jaron? No, not really. You know, he sells historic books, or used to. I've got very little in common with most of them. You, on the other hand, some guy who can offer a bit of personality on YouTube, I see myself as far superior in terms of the explains bit in your channel. But who's getting the views when you type in flat earth? You've made that very clear. You go viral by saying, well, global position is just, that's your standard. Or here's a load of flat earth models that could only be measured with flat planes, and my globe works better when I don't show it, or show how it works, or detail it, or explain it. Yeah, I envy you, like I envy Dan. I want the same exact treatment from YouTube that I don't get, and you do, with our
but
subject.
You're not gonna get it, though. You're not gonna get it, because the only way to get promoted as a flat earther on YouTube is by getting everything wrong.
Possibly.
That simple.
Maybe. I don't know that's the case. I do know that if you type in flat earth, you find him.
It's
So
measurable.
That's my
You can
specialist
literally
subject.
measure it.
He's a jack of all trades covering vaccines and trans science. That's what he covered in his other subjects. It's not a specialist subject for Dave. It's a explained channel based on him being a professor, which he isn't. That's his channel, right? But so why would it be the case that he goes immediately to the top of the flat earth search results when it is literally our specialist subject? Oh, well, because we're disseminating the truth about how the Earth isn't a sphere, and it's the overriding Western world paradigm, simultaneously utilised the world over for navigation and building. So you can't censor us out of existence. What are you going to do? Censor everybody who builds things and uses levels? No, I don't think so. Definitely not. That's why we're still here. But we do have to be combated. And the way we are combated is by you appearing in the searches instead of me. So who am I going to aspire to? All the other people who are far down the lists when you type in exact titles for their videos. You can type in an exact title for my video and you'll get him appear. Type in Flat Earth Debate, he'll appear. Doesn't matter what I give as a search, as a title, as tags, he'll appear.
There's only one thing you can do from within this position. It's a similar position to where I am at. And that is you just get better at what you're already doing, because this whole masking us, it's not even like censoring, it's just masking us, like putting us in a corner where nobody can find us. Well, that can work, but every individual that comes across us by accident or throughout just a long journey, it'll happen. Well, they will pick up on it and they can never be turned back to the other side of the unknowing. So the way to do it is to just be so good that people will just find you and then stay there.
There's another way.
And then the numbers will never go up, but the actual fame and the knowledge spreading will be dramatically increased.
There's another way. In your once you put up your YouTube of this show, in the tag words, put Professor Dave, put Andrew Gold, put everything that they have, and when people go search, the algorithms will find you.
No.
And
Well,
in
if you
order
put
to do
Professor
that,
Dave,
Yeah, that's 10 years ago. That doesn't work like that anymore.
Not for us, no.
you have to like do these little appearances.
Are you challenging that that's the case? You think that's the case? Just take it from me, it isn't. It should be, and maybe is for others. For me,
have you tried it?
It isn't. Yes.
Okay, that's all I need.
Differences in like,
Trump
oh,
stamp will overrule it, won't it? In terms of
Just
the
change your name, Dave Oakley.
My dad's name.
Yeah, but if you happen to be a flat earther, but you don't know how to talk well, and you're like not very stable, you'll get promoted the hell out of by YouTube. There's channels out there that started like way after me that came on my platform like, hey, hello, oh, I kind of want to do this. Well, they have now more subscribers than I have. Okay? And they don't even talk about flat earth. It's like, well, that's probably why. So, yeah. Just the only way to get successful as a flat earther is being the most retarded flat earther you could conceivably be in public. And that way you'll go straight to the top.
Or a scammer. Like an actual scammer.
Well, that's pretty much the same thing, isn't it? I mean, what kind of scammer would scam with flat earth? That's already kind of paradoxical. You have to be an idiot just to try that.
Really? I was recently offered examples of exactly that. As weird as it is to say, while I'm pointing out the hypocrisy of Jeranism, claiming I am a scammer, it's then been offered up with examples of Jeran scamming to me. Were you unaware of this, Arwin?
No, I'm absolutely aware of that. But yeah, I kind of think Jeran is kind of retard too. So yeah, makes perfect sense. Just a projecting asshole, as you like to say.
I agree with Owen 100%.
Right.
I mean, if he wouldn't be so hypocritical and disgusting, he probably wouldn't have that many subs.
What you're saying is you've got to be scummy to get to the top. The general society promotes arseholes and narcissists. Yeah, I'd probably agree with that.
Well, the thing about being completely stupid, I would normally agree with, but he was reading a citation and he changed the words.
That's correct.
Sounds kind of stupid to me, if you ask me.
No, that's fraudulent.
And a really dumb form of fraud, because it's very easy to figure out that it is fraud. So kind of dumb.
Can we get back to Professor Dave?
We can. It's just it's on topic because of, I don't know if Adam's around listening to this. He's not piping up, so it might end at this point if he doesn't pipe up. But it's one of those that I'm talking about contributions in the live show today. Now we've got Dave criticising us for our income, and we're pointing back the fingers that he points at us by saying, no, you're the one who actually benefits from the things you're criticising us for, i.e. making money. Then he's calling us scammers. And we go, well, no, the people that you're suggesting that we look up to, right, in Flat Earth, i.e. the bigger names within Flat Earth, we have a huge level of criticism for, right? One of the things we're in line with him on, which is scamming. So I'd be remiss if I didn't start discussing it or expanding on it at this point, given that it's been the topic of the discussion up until now, along with me pointing out that I rely on revenue like any normal person does. So we've got lots of parallels all converging at this particular point, just by chance, because of what Dave said about us being scammers and wanting to aspire to be like, presumably, Math and Eric DeBay and whoever else. So, Adam is presenting something, or is it Adam? Who's presenting?
Yeah, it's me.
Okay, so
it's probably an opportune point. I'm happy for people to go out there and do whatever they want. The reason I'm commenting here is we appear to be part of the scam. We appear to be a distraction technique. And what we've got here is a video.
Distraction?
Yeah.
Really?
Right, you just have to pipe down. Just listen to what Adam's got to say.
Right.
So you shout scammer and point fingers over a particular place, which is what's happened. It's a lot easier. People might trust you a little bit more now. Said I'm not normally asked, and I won't point these things out. It's up to people what they do and how they spend their money. But this seems to me to be the definition of a scam. So we have, I said I'll scroll up in a minute, 10-minute excerpt from the Rockfin stuff where all the good gravy is. And there's a gentleman here, Jack Eck. Why pay for this when you upload it anyway? And this is the response from Jaron. I only uploaded 10 minutes of an hour-long gravy section from his presentation. Trust. There is much more and very worth a small donation. Now, two things. Are we selling truth here? Because to access this truth, I've got to go and pay Rockfin. And therefore, I would say that this is not truth that's been said in here. This is not, they're not asking for a donation like Nathan does, like Neil might need a donation. This is a paywall to truth. It may be presented as a small donation, but a donation is given after something you've received something. It's a donation. It's not necessary. Yeah, you donate it after the event, not donate first or you won't receive. Now that to me sounds like a scam. If anybody's scamming out there, this is it. Only 10 minutes of an hour-long gravy section. I assume gravy means solid truth, telling you the nature of the world we live in.
Okay, so Adam, when you first brought this to my attention, my first question was, how is this A, related to us to call foul, and B, any different to, say, John Le Bon, who has his quote-unquote truth behind a paywall and would be encouraging people in his comments to go and pay for it? Why would we be involved in calling foul in this regard?
Yeah, because, like I said, we were the ones that were shouted out by these people as scammers. I said a distraction technique to me. So the only reason I'm here is I'm defending my honor as a flat earth homo. Yeah. You called me into it. Otherwise I wouldn't be here. But this is you demonstrating in your own words that you're the scammer, that you're selling supposed truth. Yeah. But you ain't getting that truth. You don't make a small donation first. I would differ that. Yeah. That's the difference to me. It's not.
Indeed. So just, again, just to add a little bit more to that, we stand in the way of their scam. So what we've got is voodoo nonsense being peddled about free energy. It's all bollocks, but it's being hidden behind a paywall. And anybody who's got a vague idea about the scientific method would and could pull apart this complete voodoo nonsense that they're peddling easily. Therefore, we're a threat to them, because while they peddle this nonsense that's behind a paywall, and obviously a small donation, in quotes, will get you this gravy train of truth, yeah, that truth has us contradicting it, pointing out that when they say science in their gravy train of truth, it doesn't have any scientific empiricism or validity actually attached to it, because here's what science actually is. So preemptively, they have attacked us, and me personally, for being scammers, so that they can wipe us out of the way of their actual science-based scam. Because what they're doing is peddling cause and effect relationships with the promises of free energy behind a paywall that's only overcome if you know what science is as we disseminate it here. So we are as big a threat to this pseudoscience peddled by Jaron and Austin Whitsitt and Globebusters and Bob as we are to the globe. We're a threat to them. That's why we've been preemptively called scammers, not just because of a guilty conscience based on this particular scam, but based on the fact that we can undo their scam with what we declare about science, specifically, because they're using the exact same magic trick. They're peddling their nonsense with these magic words too.
And that's why their fight is against science as well. They got to get the real science out of the way so they can promote their little pseudoscience nonsense.
Correct. But we're going to pull apart that little pseudoscience nonsense gravy train for the audience right now. Because obviously we're not going to be looking on Rockfin. We wouldn't, heaven forbid, suggest that anybody goes anywhere other than YouTube. And you shouldn't. It's an outrage. But this has been trimmed out and presented to the audience, hence the commenter saying, why would I pay for Rockfin if I can come and get it here from YouTube for free? Answer, no, there's a much bigger gravy train of truth that you can pay for. Right? That's what we're actually addressing here. But the 10-minute video is still out there for us to criticise. So that's what we're going to do. Adam, did you want to play and pause this?
Entirely. No, you're much better in control. You control it.
Okay, well, do you want to send it to me and I'll stick it?
Well, I can. Yeah, I may as well. I've got the window, haven't I? So
well, it's just you.
I
would rather you were in control of the pause button in this regard.
Can I just make one thing quickly before you go forward?
You've got 4 seconds while the advert's on. Go.
Yeah. John LeBon is not calling people scammers and then going off trying to do whatever he does. Whereas these people are accusing people like us of being scammers as a distraction tactic for them to do this.
Exactly. Yeah, good point. Yeah, John LeBon's not saying, I can prove sync with science. And then going, hang on a second, there's the guys over at Flat Earth Debate saying that I haven't got any science for it, that I haven't established cause and effect reasoning with systematic experimentation to prove sync. The FAD guys are scammers, says John LeBon. Right? Why? Because we're directly contradicting his claims of science when he talks about sync. Now, that's not happening. He just talks about sync, makes his claims, and encourages people to go and pay for it because that's how he makes his living. Good for him. Not how I do it. We say, I need support, or I say, I need support. And if you like what I've said for free, then you can, if you choose to, offer me money. That would be wonderful. I need it to live. Because I'm not getting massive amounts of revenue from people actually searching specific titles and tags that I put into my videos about this very specific subject. They all go to someone else, in this case, a guy called Professor Dave Explains YouTube channel. There we go. Enough of my bitterness about YouTube.
I'll press play. Hear it. You got sound?
Yeah. Can you spin on?
Why they would hide this, it would be like, and you lived in the middle of it, and if you can really grasp this, you can understand why they would hide this. It would be a very different story if people really knew where they lived. So here's the block wall of a magnet I told you about. Again, this has to exist in all magnetic fields.
Well, the music made it very convincing.
Yes, the production's going to sucker you in quite nicely. I agree. So first,
very religiously sounding music, almost like I could hear cherubs.
I was being sarcastic.
No, you were right on point, actually, Arwin.
It's some hippie shit music, man.
Okay, I assume Adam stopped because he wants to critique what's just been said about these dielectric, incoherent, accelerative magnetic fields, or whatever bollocks is on screen.
Well, we're not going to probably have the detail given to us. We're just having that solid statement that this is where we live. That's all I wanted to comment. I'll start it again. It's only in, but yeah, nice lifting the veil music. You're about to be given some information But I would say just listen to the claim first.
Globe they live, so you can understand why. So this is what a magnetic field looks like, and you lived in the middle of it. And if you can really grasp this, you can understand why they would hide this. It would be a very different story if people really knew where they lived. So here's the block wall.
Grasp what?
See if you can grasp it, because you're obviously not grasping it, Nathan. You're missing something. You're missing some bit of knowledge. You need to grasp it. You have to study more.
But I've watched this
Gotta
video
know
and
the inertial plane,
at the
bro.
end of the video, I didn't get any knowledge. Maybe if I give Jaron money, I'll get it.
Seems the
Look,
way.
my guy.
Gravy. Got to pay for gravy, baby.
Look, my guy, it's an inertial plane, and there's a toroidal field that surrounds us all, my guy.
My
It's a good impression. You need to grab the ether while it is dense enough.
Who let Matthew McConaughey in here?
Right, I'll play.
Wall of a magnet I told you about. Again, this has to exist in all magnetic fields. The globe can't even answer where this would be. Harvard will tell you they can't even explain the magnetic field or where it emanates from or what's going on at the core, exactly how it works or anything about it.
So we got a core, have we? Man, we ask daily. No wonder they want to call us scammers and shut us down with claims of scams. Yeah. Core? What core?
Core. Wow.
They can't explain was the point. Can we? Are we claiming to people that we can explain where magnetism comes from that we know? No, these guys are.
Comes from a core, according to Witsit.
They're saying that the ballers can't explain all of their nonsense, yeah? But Witsit's about to go into explain where it all comes from. This truth's there. Just watch.
This is 2022 billions of dollars. The world's universities, they can't tell you how it works. Of course, it works perfectly, as I just showed you. It works perfectly on a flat Earth. You live right through the middle of the magnetic field.
Hold on.
Makes perfect sense in
Hold
physics.
on. I think you must have skipped past the whole big massive section. He said he just explained it.
It works perfectly.
No. Did you skip past the whole massive section where he explained it, how it worked perfectly and what was working? Did you skip past that?
No, we're only...
He said this is where you live, Nathan.
Yeah.
Hold on,
you
that's
live here.
that part of the information is probably behind the paywall.
No, he said.
Yeah,
He said
and
he
that's
just
what
explained.
the juicy bit was.
What you saying? Sorry, Arwin's just explained it. You're saying it was in the rest of the gravy train, but the bit where he explains how it's our world was edited out, and him just saying, this is your world, cut to, and I've already explained how your world works, but that bit's behind a paywall. Is that what you're saying, Arwin?
Yeah, that looks like it.
Oh, sorry, Adam, I blamed
agree
you
with
for that. I
that.
thought you'd spun past all the gravy. Obviously not. It's been edited out.
It reminds me of Scientology.
Doesn't make any sense on a ball, but here's a pretty cartoon, so you have to believe it. So this is where we're going to get back into what's in the center. This is an ancient Vedic text.
What?
Or depiction.
Number one, this is an ancient Vedic text.
He does correct himself and go depiction, but please listen to the claim of what this is. This is going to demonstrate to you. Don't be picture deniers.
And it shows you basically pretty accurate ether physics. Ironically, now I did a whole presentation on the ether, so I'm not going to do that.
Sorry, what?
Yeah.
This shows me pretty accurate ether physics. What, this cartoon of men around a penis?
Look at
Giant
all the rings.
penis? What's this?
And it has a ring.
This is ether physics,
there's no
Arwin.
globe drawing.
He just said this shows you pretty accurately ether physics. Hold on, Adam, were you not on the quest for this?
Well, this is why I did watch this. But again, it would appear, sadly, that bit's been excluded. As he says there, I've talked about this. You're going to have to go past the paywall, I'm afraid, to get the truth, the knowledge as to how this explains ether physics. I don't know how it explains ether physics. So I'm still waiting for the explanation of ether. I assume this must explain how light perturbates as a wave. Then that's the last explanation.
Pretty accurately.
Yeah, it looks it, doesn't it?
At least it's not a globe drawing, because God, that would be silly, wouldn't it?
Damn accurate. Because obviously, what you need in ether physics is an elephant.
I don't know, man. This picture gives me more signs that Nathan was right about his original Dick Earth model.
Remember, this is the source of your magnetic field. This is the proof. Remember, we were talking about magnetic. So this is Mount Meru. We're at the Mount Meru summit. So,
Fight a turtle.
well, okay, let's play. Go on.
That again, and I encourage people to check it out. I did at Flattoberfest, and I've done a few on my channel. But
Pause that a second.
hiding the
please.
ether seems to have been one of the biggest parts of the.
Just a second. I just want to point out something. Just a parallel. Professor Dave uses better CGI of the globe when he wants to prove it's a globe, and he uses really, really crappy cartoons for flat plane, for the flat Earth, when he's making a straw man model. So what essentially is going on here is a nicer depiction for flat Earth. It's like, it's the same kind of swindle, if you understand what I mean. So the depiction he's showing is of an ancient Vedic text. So this is like a more reliable cartoon.
Right,
Same thing as what
I'm
Professor
really sorry.
Dave does.
I hate to do this to you, but I'm sorry to step on you. Can we just define what text means, please?
That would be written word, not
okay. Thank you.
Not the depiction.
Yeah, but written or depiction, it's still a very accurate representation of ether physics. So if you want to know more,
right, these people called us scammers, right? What you're being told is to go and pay for this shit, right? Now, I just want to give us a little disclaimer. We will never do this, ever, right? And if anybody on my panel ever does it in my presence, they'll be immediately ejected, never to come back, right? That is to say, offering up bullshit stories with cartoons to sell you a world based on their descriptions. We're never going to do that. Now, it might be that you're annoyed with us because we don't offer you an alternative, but I don't care. We're not going to do this because this is a con. It's just charlatanism. That's what this is.
Nathan, I'm kind of interested to see how tying a rope around your genitals and having a stranger pull on it will give you free energy. Is he going to connect that by any chance?
Hilarious.
This is supposed to be Mount Meru, so they're actually, even if we accept the metaphor that he's saying it is them tying a rope around Mount Meru. That's what it's supposed to be, because it's an accurate depiction of ether physics.
You got it.
My phone was back.
Well, maybe it's a strand of ether or something.
Well, if you want to know that, you're going to have to pay, aren't you?
Yeah, I guess.
Continue.
Of the lie, because the implications are there's a metaphysical realm beyond you. Everything's interconnected. Energy comes to and fro. You have all kinds of capabilities. There's literally an energy source all around you. So why would they tell you that? I mean, of course they wouldn't.
Sorry,
tell
can you just
that.
pause it there, please? What was that? Did he just say there's literally an energy source all around you? What does that mean?
You go back and throw from the other dimension and energy too. It's something ether.
I'm just being mercenary. This sounds like there's some financial implications to this, right? I have to pay quite a lot of money for energy. You know, pay for the computer to run, pay for the projector and amplifiers to run, and the mic preamps to run, and lighting and electricity, right? We know what electricity is. He's saying there's quite a lot around us. That intrigues me. It sounds like there's some benefit to me in this, actually. I'm starting to change my tune, Adam. Maybe you can give me some more clarity about where he's going with this.
Maybe the out of running water, right? You can make water, apparently, keep spiraling it, and then, yeah, it's like you can use the electricity that comes out of it to keep the pump going to make it go forever.
Oh, is he talking about hydroelectric? Oh, that's far less exciting. Is that what he's talking about, Adam?
I think he's talking about harvesting etheric energy to give us.
Sorry, this is very alien to me. You're going to have to slow down, Adam. Just Adam. etheric energy? Pray tell.
Yeah. The thing that this accurately depicts. Can
What?
you not see it?
Sorry, can I not see the etheric energy that's all around us? Literally.
Well,
in this
it's
picture.
accurately depicted here. So
Literally.
you can imagineer it yourself.
Literally.
Right.
In the text.
If you want energy, free energy, you just got to tie a rope around a phallic symbol of some kind and have 8 strangers pull on it.
Yeah, one of them needs to be blue and one needs 2 heads. Don't forget that.
Yeah. Yeah, of course. So you have to get them from Kentucky.
And 4 arms. Don't forget that.
Helpful if you got that a lot of rope. Anyway, let's play.
Because then you wouldn't have utility bills and be dependent upon electrical grids and all this different stuff. So anyway, this is an ancient Vedic text. It shows you the mountain in the middle. It shows the 2 types of movement. You have centrifugal divergence, centripetal convergence. These are the 2 aspects superimposed on top of each other within a magnetic field. I apologize.
You see?
Wait, he's about to apologize for speaking fast, because that's his con. Quick speaking, what's it?
You know, most people would do almost anything to avoid electric bills, but this is taking it too far.
But now you've had it explained, haven't you? You can see why it accurately represents ether physics. He showed you in the diagram, which is the chondrule and which is the electropa. And now we can all see it. We can see how it accurately represents ether physics.
Right. And centripetal is divergent and centrifugal is convergent.
And now,
yes.
But now we can see how we can get free energy and not have to pay our bills. And more importantly, why the man has been hiding it from us.
Well,
is he talking about magnetism when he's talking about those movement descriptions? Like, is that? I didn't know that magnetism like moved. I thought it was fields.
He's talking about ether physics, which is accurately depicted here, Arwin.
But isn't it magnetism? I'm sorry, maybe I'm taking this too serious.
Well, what I would say is someone is going to get some free energy out of this, and it will be whoever gets paid on Rockfin.
Yeah, right.
Go on then, let's rock on.
It will be kind of fast. So I want to fit it all in. But this is like the primary conjugate geometric expression of magnetism. That just means the geometry is basically the inverse of one another. It's the other side to the coin. There are 2 types of motions. You have a donut, you draw through the center of it. That would be like the hyperboloid inside it, and you have the toroid as the donut on the outside. And there are 2 types of motions within this. Now, this was known for thousands of years. How come when I'm saying it, it doesn't make any sense to you right now? And you're like, I need to rewind. I don't get it. Well, that's one of
Indeed.
You're going to have to do, boys and girls, if you want to be able to get this, if you want that fuller understanding of the nature of our reality, that conjugate, those opposites, what are you going to have to do? I need to know more. The only way I could know more about my reality is to break that paywall, isn't it? I'm being drawn in. I'm being drawn in with a lot of waffle that sounded almost plausible there. I've got to, as Neil said, even got to apologize because I'm overloading you with information, guys. I've just got to slow down. Disgusting.
one of the tricks. You should have learned about this when you were in 2nd grade. It should make sense, and you should look at it in the form of geometry. And they knew about this a long time ago. So they show the 2 types of movements. They have the tower in the middle, and they have the turtle at the bottom that represents time. So whenever you hear like, oh, you fighters think you live on the back of a turtle. Well, actually, the ancient people used the turtle to represent time. And of course, ironically, you can actually look at the back of the shell of a turtle and it matches the calendar perfectly. You can use it.
Right, the 13 segments of a turtle back. That is a thing.
That would be
Not
the
that
moon
that has
calendar,
anything to do with ether, though, but... Or, yeah, you know.
But that would be the moon calendar. Not the
Sort of
lunar calendar.
satanic.
Good point.
Or not
Little bit
the
of
solar
truth
calendar.
was a lie. Sort of
Yeah,
satanic.
it's complicated.
This is where you guys are biting, where you get little bits of knowledge that is true. There's some way, could that be linked? I don't know. Maybe if we paid some money, we could find out. But there you go. You bit on that bit of knowledge. Wait to see if we get a few more bites.
What's
The
interesting
turtle
apart
for a calendar. That's what this represents. This is actually high-level ether physics in a depiction from the Vedas, the Vedic representation many years ago. Probably a coincidence. So here is a place in Thailand, and it tells you right here about.
Really?
High level ether
Sumeru
physics?
Mountain.
Again, a strong claim that I assume you'll get the information for later. Here, I don't know what this bit's about.
Well,
Apparently, it's got Meru in the name,
exactly.
so that must be where a mountain. So it must be where all this demonstration of how our world works emanates from.
So maybe he thinks that's Mount Sumeru is actually Mount Meru. I kind of doubt it.
It's going to be the only reason for putting it there, isn't it? Unless
Yeah.
one of his favorite holiday snaps.
It's so silly. Such a silly thing to do. So 2015.
Sumeru Mountain. That's where you get Mount Meru. Now this goes back in all kinds of different, ancient civilizations. So it is the name of the summit, and it seems to have great importance. And everyone's looking at the outside. What's at the outside? Let's go to the south. Blah 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 blah. Admiral Byrd. But no one wants to talk about what's in the middle. You're like, oh, you must assume probably that we know what's in the middle. We don't actually. You can't privately explore the middle either.
Sorry, Adam, could you pause it a second?
Oh, yeah. Like, what does he think that Mount Meru is in Japan? Because that's the logical conclusion to draw from this. What's it?
I think that's in India or Thailand. Isn't
Yeah, it's Thailand. But no, but he said everyone wants to look to. He just wants to. He said everyone looks to the outside. Nobody looks to the center. I'm pretty sure back in 2015, everybody knew about Mount Meru and the claims concerning it. That's 7 years ago. So this isn't some kind of new special information that's out there. This is just, mythology that we knew about in 2015.
Correct. Another tasty tidbit.
That should not make sense to you. Oh, we don't have the infrastructure to save you. It's not safe. You'll be intercepted by military, Russia, etc. That's why no, Russia's not the good guy. Ukraine's not the good guy. They're all in a club, and you weren't invited. So let's get more into it. Here are some ancient depictions of the Earth with the Mount Meru in the center. You'll see that it has the center point there, and then of course this has the four corners and the square. So take note of the square and the.
Sorry, maybe I'm just not seeing what he's seeing. What?
It's unveiling the world in which you live. Can you not see? Look, it's four
I
corners.
can't see it either.
There's Mount Meru in the center, and then there's a square around it. If that's not, does that not speak volumes? Does that not explain?
Looks like a pretty epic drawing. I mean, electrically inspired. It seems all about wire. I mean, it's an interesting drawing. It's probably pretty old, but like what?
Certainly read that into it, couldn't you?
It looks like a 19th century art, and that was probably loosely inspired on like mandalas or whatever. That's what this looks like to me.
Looks
like I just want you.
Sorry, go ahead, Brian.
Yeah, I just want you to know that I knew about Mount Meru, not flat Earth claim, but Mount Meru and all that, well before 2015.
I think
maybe 2004.
I do remember you saying actually, Brian, that at least 2 weeks before Wixit
you
even
beat
looked
me
into
to
it.
it, Nathan. No fair.
No, but the point I'm making is this is not new knowledge, even for people who aren't flat earthers. All you have to do is look into some conspiracy stuff way back and way before flat earth turned back up on the scene, and loads of people know about this.
Well, I think
what proof did he show that?
Right, 2010.
What proof did he show that Mount Meru was the center? Is it just this janky map?
Yeah, if we're going to look at a number of ponderances or evidences that will demonstrate that in ancient times they imagined this same thing. They depicted it in this case, the Vedic way, how they've done it. I'm not sure where this one relates to, but that seems to be the thing that's underpinning what we were showed at the beginning, which is where we live in the middle of this dielectric plane, is it? So this is this. I assume there's more behind the paywall. There's more evidence that will be behind why this map is.
I wonder who made this drawing was very much into Tesla. It looks all
I
very
get it.
electric.
I get it. These are just the positive claims. The evidence and proof are behind the paywall, right?
I can only
Allegedly.
I can only assume. Well, the proof's not in this 10-minute clip, is it? As we'll find out. But let's truck on then and see.
Circle, I encourage everyone that maybe missed it. You definitely want to check out Marty Leeds. It's crazy the way things work, synchronicities, because he just covered the circus or the circle and the square, and it fits in perfectly with the presentation that I was going to do. I don't consider that to be a coincidence. I definitely encourage you to look at it. So as you see, you have the square outside the corner.
Yeah, that's called numpty synchronicity.
Yeah, but again, you know where you're going to have to be able to see that. Yeah, this is just an advert, isn't it?
In the circle within. The scriptures say this. Many ancient texts say this. And of course, if you've looked into ancient civilizations at all, you found out they lied to you about how that they were super primitive and they didn't know what they were doing or understand anything. Well, they had at least had international communication and transportation. And they're like, there's a mummy found with cocaine from South America. There are the same.
Pause, Adam. Hang on. They had international communication. Where is their evidence? Where is he supporting this?
He doesn't
Well,
have
they would
to.
have
A mummy,
because
a
they
mummy,
know the ether.
Can you just let
they got
Brian get
ether.
to the end of his point?
Brian.
yeah, a mummy found with cocaine doesn't mean they had international communication. That means that they traveled maybe from continent to continent. That doesn't mean they had international communication. That would be like, radio, at least.
Yeah, but the part he isn't telling you about, because it's behind the paywall, is how they also find a mobile phone with the mummy.
The point again, look, is you're being given information, once again, that you agree with, from your past. We've all heard about Egyptian mummies having traces of cocaine and stuff, and how the Pampas boats match in Peruvian Pampas boats match Egyptian boats. You know what I mean? There's all these civilizational relationships. What the fudge has that got to do with flat Earth? What's it got to do with anything? But again, it's just a little agreement point. Yeah, I remember that. Yeah, so we're being told truth because that bit's true. The mummies did test. Well, there's a nice.
Adam, where he said that the scriptures say this. Did he define which scriptures?
That's what I was.
Yeah, Vedic
Vedic.
scriptures. He's only referencing Vedic.
So far, yeah.
Architecture across the whole world. They have the same story scattered out across the whole world. And this is impossible based on the narrative they told us. We can't even replicate some of the stuff they built back then to this day, which goes to show you they actually knew a lot more than you've been told. Now, of course.
Well, fair enough,
Hold on,
Why can't we replicate?
Hold on. I think Adam's the one who wants to comment on that because he's the one who paused it at that point.
Well, refracted some of it up. Why can't we replicate it? We're told we can't replicate it. Why? Because we're always... Who made it? Aliens, whatever they want. You know what I mean? That's just another lie that he's agreed with. We couldn't do these things, without ether? Took
No.
ether to lift the blocks, did it, of the pyramids and stuff. Is that where we're heading?
No. No, this is about just like stone crafting techniques, like how to make it very easy, and it is hidden. It is not being used officially.
No, that's not what he's saying. He's promising you more magic. He's promising you more hidden secrets, isn't he? But
there is a thing behind it. There is a reason why
please
we
stop
can't
talking to
build these
everyone.
buildings.
Just wait till he's finished.
Owen, we're not arguing that point. I'm saying what he's presenting. Yeah, not the actual issue. I'm saying, look, what you're being given again. What's the type of information you're being given? Yeah.
Okay.
It's a draw you in, isn't it? Look at this bit of information. Do you want to buy my encyclopedias? Come on, buy the encyclopedias. You'll learn so much more.
Or you could watch the Early Bird Show and I'll just talk about anything you bring up for free.
Don't hijack the swindle. Oh, God. You're so terrible.
I'll press play.
History Channel wants to come in with the ancient aliens and try to absorb it and tell you that aliens came and all this nonsense, because people are starting to see through the lie, similar to how they're getting rid of evolution. Because
Projection, Your Honor. Just called out History Channel. Yeah, right, quite rightly so, because they're going to say, as I said, that it was aliens did it. He's going to say it was humans with etheric powers that do it, that we've lost, and we've got to rediscover those powers, and we'll be able to do it again.
people are stopping, they really aren't following for evolution anymore. So they're going to replace it with simulation theory, where they acknowledge design, but they do not acknowledge the designer or the personable nature of the creator and how it's actually a loving force that created you. Rather, you're a robot in a game and no one cares. So here are some
personal nature of the creator. It's a loving force. If this is the Vedic view, that's not, light is their God.
That's what he's been pushing the whole time, Ken.
Well, go on, Neil. I'm sorry. I stepped on you. Stop. Finish your point, Neil. I'm sorry.
The ether and God of this force is no longer an intimate person. It's a force now.
Well, no more personality, no more identity. They're de-identifying God, or trying to.
Correct.
Yeah.
Well, he's telling you about what God is now. That's the big issue I'd have. You're telling me what God is. Do you know God? Like, is it that you have some secret?
Come on.
Yeah, well, does he have some secret, like, connection that I'm not aware of that wasn't afforded to me? What's he talking
just
about?
realized that God is ether, and now he knows everything.
Well, if it's Vedic,
sign up, Brian. Sign up, mate.
If it's Vedic, then you.
Sorry, 10th. I think one deck's suggesting that Brian should maybe actually offer up the, pony up the cash and get behind that paywall, and maybe you'll find out, right, one deck?
Yeah, if you want to know, sign up, pay the way, you'll know the truth.
No need to pay, because all you do is go to the source, which is the Vedic scriptures, and type in ether, God, life force, pantheism, panentheism. You get a good education for free, what they believe.
What, we can get the free energy for free?
No, the fact that this life force, light, ether, and they equate it to God rather than the God of, say, the Jews of the Old Testament, or the Christians, or say even the Muslims, okay, as they deem to see God. It's easy to know what the Hindus.
I'm really confused. What kind of force are we talking here? Are we talking about force that can push things that might be harnessed for free energy? Are we talking about a force like Darth Vader's got, where he can strangle people from afar? Are we talking about a force that you can think of as a force that isn't really a force? What force are we talking about?
It's a colloquial force. It's just like the force of a things. So it's not physics related, I think.
George Lucas borrowed from this for the Force in Star Wars. We all know what it is. Okay, it's a life force. It's God is light. God is ether. Is as even Whitsitt, when I asked him directly on the show, do you think ether is God? Well, he says, yeah, but I have my views on it. So yeah, this is why they're going there. So so free energy is tapping into God. Is basically, if you're going to stick to the Vedic.
But just so we can have some actual information on this show that people don't have to pay directly for, what George Lucas was referring to was Japanese mythology or Japanese belief, and not ether. It wasn't ether, it was spirit.
No, they talk about that on Globusters too. They talk about chi.
Yeah,
not
chi.
But hold on, that's a
not
spirit
chi,
ether.
not
They
chi,
call it
that's
ether
chi.
too. But it's spirit.
Sorry, Alwyn. Not chi, that's Chinese. Not that.
Right, little off track. So let's just go back to the vid.
Spirit.
Some more ancient depictions where you always have the central point being depicted as something in and of itself. If you look in the middle there, you'll see like the
What? Again, I'm back to this. Sorry, what? What is this? What? This is the center of what? Is he saying that this is our world? These are our world?
I'm assuming, from looking at these images, that he must be referring to the one on the right-hand side, just above his head, saying that this center point, look, is Mount Meru again depicted there. But the other two, that's Ryo and K2, so I don't think they've got anything to do with what he's talking about, unless we're getting into...
It's depicting the spirit world. I'm just telling you. It's not a physical representation of actual world things.
This is eclipses, isn't it? Look, this is Ryo and K2, these two here. Okay, I'm not sure of the other diagonally opposing. One looks like an old coin, and one looks like a calendar, doesn't it? More than anything. But I don't know what they are. But so I assume what he's referring to here is this right hand side image, which is, again, I assume a depiction of Mount Meru, the cause of the electromagnetics, and why we live in the center of a dielectric plane.
Look at the top figures. See these 5 figures? They're all with their hands raised. This is the spiritual world that it is depicting. I'm just telling you.
Oh, on the right hand side picture one there.
Exactly.
Yeah.
There's a terminology we use for this in Brooklyn. These people are wackadoos.
I think there's a spiritual world. I've experienced it, but yeah, I'm just saying this
Black
is
hole.
what I
We'll
think.
get into that.
Sorry.
Sorry, I had a finger malfunction there for a second.
I can't see the pictures, guys, but from what I'm listening to, it sounds to me like he's copying. I've listened quite a lot to Santos Bonacci, you probably have, and I'm not saying it's real.
No, you've raised something important. You can't see, right? And there's plenty of people who listen to this show, as I've recently found out, that don't watch at all. They have it on podcast, or they just download the audio, which is fine. Okay.
Let me describe it quickly.
My God, every single person that's spoken in the last 20 minutes, you've interrupted immediately, Arwin. I'm not even joking.
I'm sorry, I'm just really inspired.
So to describe what's on screen, if you're not capable of looking at it for whatever reason, back in the 80s, we had something called a spirograph. Is everybody familiar what a spirograph is?
Yes.
Where you put like a pen in a little cog thing that moves around in a circle and makes like little shapes, that swirls that go round and round and round and repeat. What it looks like for 3 of them, or no, the 4th is the one in the middle's got it too, it's just wrapped around with other stuff, is like spirograph depictions with a couple of figurines either side of them on one of them. So that's kind of what we're looking at, like pretty patterns. That's what they look like to me. Anybody got a better description than that?
Yes, they're mandalas. All of them.
Yeah.
It's a tradition. It's a very ancient tradition. Tibetans are like masters of it, or used to be, right? They make that. They make it with the sand. They do it live.
Oh,
it's
mandala.
amazing.
Yeah, I know what that is. I've done that with my daughter. That was what this is. Okay.
Yeah.
So that's your evidence. I know. I'll play
In a second. Now there's a hole in most of these depictions, as there is a mountain and or a tree in the center of almost all these ancient depictions. And like I said, these people know a lot more than you may think that they do. They could accurately
appeal to the past fallacy.
Keep going.
Note physics, which still cannot be done today by majority of the academic world, as they are particle physicists, and just ignore the fact that they literally can't explain most of the phenomena. That would be a whole other presentation as well.
There you go. There's him utilizing the juxtaposition in his magic trick for science, isn't it? That's why we're being called scammers, because we detail what science actually is. He's appealing to what people know in academia, but cross-referencing it with scientific knowledge. No, we've got methodology to establish cause and effect reasoning with systematic experimentation based on a hypothesis. Does this sound familiar? Does this sound like what we said to Becky and Professor Dave? Yeah, it is. It's the same thing. That's why we're being called scammers. This is the reason. They're pulling the same exact swindle.
Right. When he said explain phenomena, he stepped in to a hyper exclusive method that will give you an empirical outcome, but he's not going to use that method.
Nathan, what was the Van de Graaff generator used for?
In this instance, it's a parlor trick. I don't know if that's what you're asking me, though.
Brian, I think you know, is a particle accelerator, I thought it was.
Wasn't it? Oh, that thing. Right.
So here he says particle in the way to say scientists, light is not, he's trying to steer you away. But then Jaron and them use the Van de Graaff generator, which is a particle accelerator. How can he say it one way and another way at the same time?
Either way, both of them aren't science. But that's what he's creating the air of science in the same way the pseudoscientists from the globe earth heliocentric priesthood create the air of scientific validity. What he's doing is bashing people in quote-unquote academia. But it's in a framework that's describing the validity he has to offer and they couldn't begin to fathom. The physicists, right? So what's he doing? He's greasing the skids, just like heliocentrists do. So we're a threat directly to them to peddle this scam.
Yeah, that's what I said to you last time we talked. But the fact that they need a particle accelerator to prove that light is not a particle is even more of a cracker.
Right. Okay. Yes.
Just ignore the fact that they literally can't explain most of the phenomena. That would be a whole other presentation as well. So here's another ancient depiction where you have the mountain in the middle.
You want to pause again?
So, story goes, of course.
Yeah, John's already highlighted this. What explains the phenomena? Yeah, as John has just adequately detailed. Perfect timing, John. Yeah, so putting him in a hyper-specific category. Explanation of phenomena, that's things that we observe happening in nature. Yeah, that would be the scientific method, wouldn't it? The thing that we detail here accurately and daily. The thing that they very specifically attacked us over. He's now bullshitting and scamming you with that very exact magic trick. The one that you were fooled with, the science one. The one where they don't have any empirical cause and effect relationships based in hypotheses after experimental validity being offered to them. No. He's going to have a just so story, and here's him greasing the skids for that scam. Unreal.
Well, he said there's going to be a whole nother presentation on that. So
behind the
up the
paywall.
money.
Well, it's not even that. There's actually a separate thing going on here. Something that Bob Nodell has done for years, which is on Globebusters. There's always the information's always coming later. That's always a presentation for later. The information is never now. The facts are never now. It's always something in the future, but they never get to that future. When they get to that future, they're making different claims about different information that they're going to get to, but they never actually explain why the other side or whatever they're saying is wrong or whatever they're saying is right, blah, blah, blah. There's no real explanation ever given. It's just claims.
Right, yeah, it's scattergunning. Moving on to the next subject before the details go float.
Irrelevant.
They never back
It's all irrelevant. If he invoked phenomenon, I didn't. He said he had explanations of phenomena.
Yeah.
It's put up or shut up.
Exactly.
At that point.
At that point, exactly, it becomes in our realm, completely in our realm in the flat earth community, because who's the people that are detailing the science swindle? Us. Who are the people laying out what science is in terms of how it explains phenomena? The very specific thing he just said. That's what he's offering. This is the scam. This is what it is. This is the using the same magic. I've said it all along. That's what they're doing over at Globebusters. They're taking the exact same magic trick that you had used on you to prove you're on a sphere with science. Use it again in the exact same fashion to prove whatever they claim. In this case, ether. Same scam.
Like, just a comment on that. I think they're going down this road because they're not like our channel. We're just interested in this like purists. They're seeing that all the forces out there are negating income if you keep talking about flat Earth. So they're changing because that's what they're about, having YouTube channels that flourish. Nothing wrong with it. But then saying stuff like this will get you to be criticized as well. So they're just moving along so they can make more money in their channels. But they're not purists.
I wouldn't have a problem with that. I said at the start, that's up to them. But part of the way they appear to be wanting to earn money is a distract away from the apparent scam that's going off here, is to call us scammers. And that leaves
Yes.
no other alternative to demonstrate we are not scammers.
No, that has to happen because they know we're going to call them out. So they do that in advance, but then it backfired on them. Who cares? Go talk about it. Go make money. But when you call us scammers and say this, yeah.
Yeah, that's the real issue here, isn't it? Preemptively, they've attacked us. They've sent Witsit over to talk about how they've got their ether scam in place, and they want our affirmation and blessing. And when we haven't given it them, we've taken it apart based on its nonsensical non-adherence to science. They've come out of the gates attacking us as being scammers because of what we say about science. Why? We're a direct threat to this. So if they hadn't have started to label us scammers, we wouldn't now be looking at, in close detail, what they're doing and what they're saying and what they're claiming and how they're claiming it. And what do you know? They're scamming people into giving them money to sell them the truth of the science they're lying to you about. That's what's happening.
Remember the other line they pushed for a bit, that science doesn't prove things? That's important in this. Because they're not, right, when you go behind a paywall, they're not going to use science to prove their points, are they? It's important also, part of the preloaded rhetoric was that science doesn't prove things. I'll press play.
Of course, there's a magnetic mountain in the center called Mount Meru, and that it hovers over the water, and that there is waters falling down into this like vortex or portal type of whirlwind in the water.
Woo-wee!
And that it breaks off into rivers.
That was a lot of claims he just laid down there. My God. What?
It hovers?
Waters hovering, mountains hovering, vertices. What the hell? That was a lot of shite to take in all at once.
The nature of our world.
Well, these are the phenomena. I was just going to say, these are the phenomena he's getting ready to explain with science. You know, in the same way that they explain their downward bias. It's, you know, the phenomena no one ever sees.
Any ancient civilization said this. So let's see
like a
if it
black
makes
hole.
any sense. Here's some more depictions throughout the world with the mountain in the middle. You got more of the mountain in the middle here. You got it's referring to it as Asgard. It's all over the world. This is actually from Manly P. Hall, Secret Teachings of All Ages. He was a some argue 33rd degree Mason. You actually can't tell for sure when someone's 33rd. You have to be elected and voted in for that. Rarely is it publicly announced that they're 33rd, but
here comes the
like
music.
one of the leading Freemasons. I mean, that's not sure. Yeah, sure. Definitely Freemason.
See, you bit again, didn't you?
Yeah,
on the
non sequitur
information
that Arwen's bit on.
Hey, just see, you're a great demonstrator of what this advert is, how it grabs you. Yeah, you want those frosted Lucky Charms.
Just showing you a load of cartoons of trees in the middle of discs, told you they're your world, and then moved on to what seems like a morsel of truth that you can get behind that might turn out to be true in terms of the Freemasonic connections. Well, maybe. But how is this non sequitur connected? But which bits Arwen latched onto? We're not having a dig, Arwen. It's good that you've done that, because that's what it's for.
I noticed the music. Did I bite on that too?
Yeah, you did. Yeah.
And you want to go, I'm surprised not going Asgard, Misgard, all that sort of stuff as well. It's all stuff for you to recognise and trigger you to think that there's more to come. Go and read Manly P. Hall if you want to.
Well, what it is mainly, Adam, is just a lot of surface stuff that is going to be patched together. There'll be no sustenance, or is that the word I'm looking for? To it, there'll be no filler to it. If you understand what I mean, there'll be no meat on the bone.
Substance, meat on the bone,
substance.
gravy.
Yeah, substance. There'll be no substance any of this. Yeah, yeah.
No growable grounds.
Well, when you decide to get rid of the scientific method, a method of proving something, what are you left with? How are you going to prove anything without a method? What's the method?
You don't have to. You can say anything you want, like they're doing.
Can I make a comment on the picture from the Manly P. Hall book cover? That looks like an artificial attempt to cross over the idea of Mount Meru with Yggdrasil, the Nordic giant world tree, because that's not how Yggdrasil is normally depicted. So he basically hybridized these ideas and then made a picture out of it.
Right. Not a mountain, is it? It's the world tree. But this is the point. It's fudging it together to try and... We can't take Nordic myth directly, can we? We've got to take a Manly P. Hall thing to show a similarity between Vedic and ancient European descriptions. But as you said, the ancient European doesn't really quite match, so we have to use a Manly P. Hall hybridization, which is just a Masonic makeup, isn't it?
Can I comment?
In there, what are we learning there? What? Even if we have a full understanding of how Manly P. Hall describes something, which is, by the way, free on YouTube, and listen to all his lectures, hours and hours and hours. You know what I mean? I still don't see what new evidence is going to be presented, because there's no real claim, is there, that we're going to even tell you anything else or how it's going to work. It's just little nuggets of facts that are either just truths, you know what I mean, or just complete fantasy and repetition of historical documents, which I don't.
Yeah, the book's just teachings of old ages. I've got the book, I've read it. It's just telling you how these people in ancient times used to think and what they depicted and why. It doesn't prove anything. It's just telling you how ancients used to think and what they felt about things.
I'll press play.
At the least 32nd degree Mason, he has all kinds of speeches and presentations, and his book has the mountain in the middle with the tree coming out of it. Now this is a big piece of it. Now the mountain's there, and there's also the depiction of a tree going up. There's a bunch of arguments as to whether or not this is physically real or symbolic, or is this talking about you have two magnetic magnets that would create basically a vortex in the middle that would go up, and it's just talking about that. I think that there is literally something there. Something has to sustain the magnetic field, and if even a bit of this
is he asking us that question?
No, he
has to somehow be that magnetic thing in there. Like, what? He asked. That's weird.
Yeah, he's trying to mix up between electromagnetic and magnetic, I think. He's trying to make that confused so that the magnet can't be has to have an electric source.
Well, John, has he defined any of these terms yet? So he can say whatever he wants, basically.
Yeah, it's just gibberish to him at that point.
You remember the video I put up of the guy who went through all these YouTube videos and channels that advertised free energy and had these magnets and generators, and they were showing it, and he broke everything down and showed where they would cut and paste and showed how it could never happen. And then he says that they never are interested in proving it to you. They just have that great title and then they get like 5 million views and make ad money. This is the whole trick. So even with it, based on this title, if it gets out, we'll get some great ad money.
He's at the end of the day, he's going to claim we live inside a toroidal field on the flat plane of inertia. That's what he's going to claim.
That was exactly the yes minister moment, wasn't it? Humphrey got that out in the first line of this video one day. He told you, third, that we live in the center of these two opposing magnetic fields on the dielectric plane. That was the first line.
I mean, that might be the point to round out, unless there's something particularly critical at the end of this video. Have we heard enough?
No, continue.
Well,
Continue.
Just over a minute and it's done.
Please.
A comment before you go.
Oh,
It's true. You can
No, I mean at the end of the show.
Oh, cool.
imagine why looking at the south a lot maybe is the deception. Maybe that's the trick, right? So anyway, this Mason maybe knew something, but just so you guys know, just because someone's a Mason or they've been in the Mason Brotherhood, they don't know all the secrets of the world. They just get access to libraries. Most of them don't even take advantage of it, and you don't even get a lot of the answers till your 33rd. And again, you have to be voted in to get to the 33rd degree. So it's kind of like, are all the teachers in on the lie about the Earth? No. Same thing with Masons. Most of them don't know anything. Okay, so you have more ancient depictions of
Were we gonna
this
get some,
mountain or
some
tower
evidence
in
to
the
back
middle.
that? Were we going to get some evidence to actually back that assertion? That was just a, what was it, a baseless assertion? About what they do and don't
maybe that
know?
was from experience.
Well, then it would have to be a 33rd degree Mason to give that have any validity to that statement, wouldn't it?
Yeah, it sounds kind of suspicious.
Well, how would they give it out when they're sworn to secrecy and not to talk?
What the hell? I ain't gonna comment. That's too stupid.
It's stupid.
Continue.
Of the Earth. Now, why did all these people? This is La Sumeria in the middle, the white picture in the middle. But why did all these ancient civilizations claim that there was something in the middle? And of course, this looks very close to like what a footstool would look like.
Okay,
The
sorry,
scriptures
stop
do in
again.
fact state that the Creator uses it.
Did they all claim that there was something in the middle based on this handful of cartoons that he's shoved up on screen? Did they? How's he backing that? What's he babbling about?
Well, there is a lot of old depictions that, but not all of them though, but some of them, like half or something of the most ancient depictions of Earth from different cultures. Yeah, like a few of them do actually depict something at the center, but not all of them, for the record.
Depends where you call the center. Lots of them will depict things at the center, but it's not always the supposed magnetic source that is the center. There's a lot of that. But you see, what's being cited here, that's not necessarily a depiction of the other ones. The center one that's being referenced is not really necessarily indicative of the others. The point of this one, I think, is again just an agreement. Oh yeah, that could look like a footstool. So just a nodding sales moment.
Well, for anyone who wants to just get to the meat on the bones, just go to the older Mercator maps and go to Dr. John Dee, who was the physician or whatever for the Queen. I'm not sure which Queen it was. Back at the same time as Mercator brought out these old maps. That's where the meat is. That's the meat on the bones. Everything else is only just speculation. Go to meat on the bones, which is a real cartographer who really put these things on his maps. And Mercator projections are still used to today. So that's the only meat you're going to find on it, with the exception of Dr. John Dee, who was the personal physician of one of the most famous queens of Britain. There's the meat. You don't need to go and spend money on Rockfin. Just go there and everything you need is there. If there's anything to be found.
Well, more maps, more pictures is all we're getting.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? The
More
reality
history,
is.
Yeah, it's an outrage. All of this information's out there for free.
Come on,
Also,
let's-
smash the
let's-
super chat
let's
to support
continue.
this channel. Make sure you hit the PayPal link. Join us, member.
Yeah, let's continue before Nathan gets.
You've got
annoyed.
30
He
seconds.
wants to run out, so let's continue.
30 seconds, so it won't even be that.
Uses the Earth as a footstool, and so it's very interesting.
Come on.
That was it.
Oh,
That's
that
it.
was it.
That was it.
All right.
Right. Any?
What a ride!
10th, go ahead.
Thank you. Just closing the door here. You know, it's very interesting because you all know I'm a Christian. I accept the Bible as God's truth. In the Bible, and it's funny how all these things seem to somehow add to it. Not add to it like against it, but kind of point to it. And what I'm going to reference is that when God is sitting above the circle of the earth, that's his throne. And then all the other references that I see about where God's throne is, the Bible references as the sides of the north, like almost giving a direction to it. I haven't understood it fully or have done a deep dive in it, but sides of the north. When would north have sides? Well, if God is directly above his creation, and that's his location, then it would be having sides, and everything out would be south. So I don't know if I've got something here, but it's interesting to see these pictures, how they got something in the middle always. And so perhaps it's from that they go to the extent of making these paintings and drawings.
That's fascinating, Death. I mean, sides of the north. That's the first time I'm ever hearing of that. I'm really fascinated. I'm trying to place this in a rectangular setting. And
Well, aren't we all? And if we explore these things, there's lots of mystery in all of this, isn't there? And it's very intriguing, very inspiring. But is there any truth, any solid proofs going to come out of this? Are we going to actually learn how our world is a magnetic centrifugal centripetal opposition within a dielectric plane? Is that going to be proven and demonstrated to us? Or are we just going to show more pictures of ancient depictions of the accurate ether physics? Yeah, is that? And most fundamentally, all of that is promised if you've given some money first. You've got to cough up to get that truth, guys. That's the issue here today. And all I wanted to say, look, and I'll just finish on that, look. I only uploaded 10 minutes of an hour-long gravy section from his presentation. Trust, there is much more and very worth the small donation. I'll leave it there.
Right. Well, because of that, because of that, you're gonna have to deal with my Sprog in the background because we've ran so massively over. So if she's making a load of noise while I do this outro, it's tough luck. But with that, I am going to say first and foremost, of course, a massive thank you to you guys in G+ for making this after show possible, and of course Discord. You guys made it possible too. But Clover, please get down, please. Right, sorry, I'll start that again. A massive thank you to both Discord and G+ panels for making today's after show possible. And of course, a massive thank you to all of you in either Nathan Oakley 1980 or Nathan Oakley Premiering Stream. Hopefully smashing the super chat, liking, commenting, sharing, subscribing, joining as a Nathan Oakley 1980 channel member, and all that good stuff. I've been Nathan Oakley, and I will see you all in the next video.